Righty, everybody. Welcome on into the Central Committee stream. It is Friday. How is everybody doing this beautiful Halloween's Eve? It is a beautiful, beautiful day. What a week. What an amazing week. Say again. Can we get a Mufasa rerun since you didn't play it last Friday? Oh, yeah. I mean, what was last Friday? Where were we at? I must have just forgotten. Writing up your workout plan right now, but you gotta see this. The White House has shared photos of Donald Trump as Xi Jinping's first face-to-face meeting in more than 6 years, including this intriguing sequence. Xi Jinping laughing? What is your Halloween costume, comrade? I mean, come on. We already know. We already know. We already know. Lenin. I can't go as Lenin. I can't go as Lenin. We are so back. I love how Non-Gloria is he's just stealing my tweets now. Might as well, what, he try to wear my personality like a skin suit? Ladies and gentlemen, Zohran Mamdani sharing a plate of halal in what appears to me to be some sort of Unitarian church basement. We are so fucking back. And that's what I said. Adam is back. This is big for bug people. Okay, first of all, Adam Friedland. You could only wish to be so cool. All right, you could only wish. All right, we've got a beautiful day. There's a bunch of depressing stories to cover. But he still hasn't endorsed him. Yeah, Zohran on Chapo. We have Zohran on. I'm sorry, chat, but this is going to be it's GOTV weekend. It's the final weekend before Zohran's the mayoral election in New York City. Final weekend before New York City mayoral election. Okay, we can spell. Will Zohran landslide? I personally think that Zohran is being underestimated by the polls again. But I saw that he had 77% of the black vote. 77% of the black vote and about 47% of the white vote. Like, come on. It's fucking over. Once somebody is getting, somewhere around 45% of the white vote, they win. They're well over 50%. Zohran is going to absolutely annihilate. I'm putting my marker down at 56% again. But I would not be surprised if that he exceeded that. I think for me, I'd be surprised if anything less than 50% would surprise me. If he got less than 50%, I would be surprised. I voted today. Let's fucking go. Zohran and the Mets. Hell yeah. The other stories, obviously, continuing violence in Sudan, genocidal violence in Sudan, supported by the United States through our one step removed through, the UAE, that's how America typically does genocides. What made Israel special is that we directly and openly and notoriously supported the genocide. Like, usually the United States tries to have at least one layer of plausible deniability when a genocide is happening. U.S. plans to start striking Venezuela. Yeah, I saw a tweet about that. Do you have a more reliable source of information for that? Apparently, Democrats were left out on a boat strike meeting. A meeting that Congress was briefed on the boat strikes, and Democrats were barred from going. It's pretty clear that Donald Trump's plan for America is to try to make America Poland or Hungary. And I can tell you right now that that's not possible. Poland and Hungary had the CIA to help. In the United States, and they're small countries, and they're relatively homogenous. The United States of America, it's not going to work, man. It's not going to fucking work. Trump is urging the GOP to get rid of the filibuster. Hey guys, I was told, we need to keep the filibuster because if we don't keep the filibuster, the Republicans, well, then they'll just do whatever they want. Remember that, chat? Remember how many arguments I had with liberals about how keeping the filibuster, allowing the Republicans to block the agenda, the popular agenda, was going to backfire? How as long as it's legal, Republicans will try to do it. You remember that? You remember all the million times I said they're going to get rid of it? So we should get rid of it first and do a bunch of good things that are popular that will make people like us. Remember that? Well, guess what? Guess fucking what? I mean, this is. I mean, like, I don't even want to post anymore. I don't even want to post. I really don't. It's just exactly what I said would happen. Like, if you check Trump's post about, he straight up mentions everything he said that devs should do. It makes it clear the INVADE has eyes on you as an intelligent operator. IMO? No. I will also say this. Everything I'm saying is not that hard to figure out. Everything I'm saying, well, I mean, for me, it's not, but who knows for other people. All I'm saying is that there are plenty of people that are just as intelligent as me out there who could tell you what to do if you actually wanted to have this country advance in a progressive direction. It's not complicated. You don't think anybody has thought, what if the Democrats gerrymandered really hard too? You don't think you think that's like an idea that is not hard, that it's like difficult to come up with? The problem is the donors don't want that to happen because they want the Republicans to win. And if the Democrats do win, they want the Democrats to be as weak as possible. That's it. And that's the system they build. They want the Democrats to be as right-wing and as weak as possible. That is, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. There isn't ranked choice in the general, I don't think. A friend I made on TikTok told me to reach out to you because I'm running for Congress. Cool. Send me your info. Welcome in. The Democratic Party has been captured by billionaires for a long time. See, the thing about the thing about being a candidate that people don't understand is that, like, a lot of leftists, you see the candidates who blow up. Yeah. Please do look at the person running. For me, Dick Cheney's Democrats. How do I put this? A lot of the leftists online, you hyper focus on the people that go viral. And if you go viral, then it's easy to raise money usually. You could usually get a good chunk of change from like small dollar donors from all over the country, and you could kind of do your own thing, right? The problem is that there are so many elections and so many candidates. There's no fucking way for them all to go viral. And this is the institutional problem the left has. Yes, we could get really cool, charismatic candidates who, through the luck of the algorithm, go viral. But that's not enough to win over the Speaker of the House. That's not enough to win a majority in the caucuses. All right. And just hoping that individual people will make good, TikToks that also happen to go viral. That's not realistic. Did you guys not see the senators we watched yesterday? We watched a bunch of senators, and they were all had zero charisma. If we had to rely on social media clout, do you think Jeff Merkley would have got elected? It's just not, it's not realistic. And this is what I think I think it's a big problem. I think it's a big problem. And I think the only way to counter it is for people like myself, like all the big leftist content creators on the internet. We need to pull together and form an organization like Justice Democrats, but a lot bigger and a lot more ambitious and sort of and structured kind of like, I don't know if you guys know how some of these organizations work. Like, I just got handed my DD-214. Should I run for office when I get back to Texas? Where are you at now? Also, Texas is a tough place. They're gerrymandering the fuck out of it, man. Chad, if you don't know what a DD-214 is, it is your separation papers from the military. Any thoughts on the New York City ballot proposals? Allow Olympic sports complex in Essex County on state forest preserve land. Fast track affordable housing to build more affordable housing across the city. Simplify review of modest housing and infrastructure projects. This proposal would create a faster review process for certain land use projects, such as smaller projects, to change how land is used and to prepare the city for extreme weather and other future challenges. For most of these projects, the proposed process will remove final review by the city council. Move local elections to presidential election years to increase voter participation. Interesting. I would probably vote no on that. Or maybe I would vote yes. I'm not sure. I would probably vote no. That seems to be like a way to increase the power of money, because elections are on presidential years, then that means it's gonna be much more expensive to get your campaign out there because you're gonna be like spending money against the fucking president. So that kind of like helps. You see what I mean? Like the ad space is gonna be bought up by presidential elections, and it makes it a lot harder to like get any ads out there. So that only billionaire supported people will be able to afford it. That's kind of what I think about that. Honestly, these. If you want to know what I really think, just kind of generically about power, I think power should be more easy to wield. DJ Smoke, thanks for the 5 tier 1s. I don't believe in veto points. I think veto points are a sign of a dysfunctional society. I think it's better to whipsaw around trying shit than never trying anything, personally. But I just, you could call me a radical in that way. And there's a lot of stuff we just need to do that's not being done, and it's because people have learned how to exploit veto points. The local tenants union says vote no on 2 to 4. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably go with what Zohran says on these, to be honest. What Zohran wants, you know, because I can see how these could be problematic. I could also see how. See, here's the thing, chat. Here's the thing about being a socialist politician or socialist. In general, wherever a union has any power, they will support keeping that power, even if it may not be the best for everyone else. And that could create certain conflicts within the leftist movement where it's like, this union wants you to do this to increase their personal power for their members, but it may not actually be the right thing as far as the entire collective. Zohran doesn't have a position on any of them. I would probably vote. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I have to think about it. None of these strike me as especially like this one. I would probably vote no. None of these specifically strike me as that important. I'll be completely honest. Zohran is being cagey about these because 2 to 4 would be great if he were our mayor, but bad if anyone else were. Then vote for him then. Because he's going to be the mayor. If it's great if he were mayor, then you should vote for it. Like, because he's going to be mayor. So you should vote to give him as much power as possible. That's my personal opinion. Hot Girls is saying no on 1 and 6 and yes on the rest. Where is Essex counties? So basically what they want to do is develop state forest near the city and then designate more forest land up and upstate. That seems sad. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, okay. What else do we got here? Kat has been indicted. I need to reach out to her. I'm going to reach out to her this weekend and be like, hey, heard about your indictment. Hope you're doing okay. How can we help? Because like getting indicted by Trump, that immediately means I'm on your side. I was cagey about her before because I was like, why don't you consider yourself a socialist? You want me to help you, but you don't want to call yourself a socialist? Why aren't you a socialist? But if you're getting indicted by Trump for protesting ICE, you will get my support. That's kind of how I operate. I like to be generous with my support as long as I know exactly what you are. Wait, she's not running on socialist policies? She's kind of running on socialist policies. They're more accurately described as social democratic policies. Posted a video with Adam Friedland and Zohran.
Don't take it. You gotta do it again. Who's filming? My boy's just.
Thoughts on Japan's first prime minister? You mean Japan's first woman prime minister? She's Hitler in a pantsuit.
If you don't live in New York phone bank and if you live here, Ken.
Come on, it's around right by City.
We're not across the finish line.
No, you're good. You're good.
I like it.
You did good. Sound good.
Coffee, Johnson, we're not there yet.
Okay. I'm getting to this.
I have to send her a pic. You send my sister a pic. No, right? Seriously, it's like just secret.
just watch these two together forever. I'm blushing. This granny comes out whenever there's a new commie on the block. Stick to knitting more. Can you imagine being this guy? This dickless loser? Guys, I shot metal under a tent. God, what a fucking loser, dude. I would like to think Adam did this because Hassan called him out for not endorsing. So true. He's got the come town boost. All right, let's listen to Zohran on Chapo.
Hey, here he is.
What's going on?
It's the boy, Big Z. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I remember the last time we spoke, I had just scarfed down a tomato soup at Panera alone in Albany. Ran back to my hotel.
The life of a politician. The life of a politician.
Feel bad for me.
All right. Well, I don't need to do any introductions here. I know you're a busy man. Let's get right into it. Obviously, our guest today, Zohran Mamdani. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be back.
As you said, the last time we spoke.
I want you to understand something, chat. There's a lot of people that are fucking stupid. And they exist in our spaces, and they're dumber than dirt. And I want you to understand something, chat, that we didn't have to give up anything for this. Zohran didn't ask me to change, or Hassan or Chapo to change a single thing. They were attacking Zohran because of his association with Hassan. And Hassan was invited to the victory party, or the last rally, the big rally. The fact that he is right before the election going on Chapo. If you don't understand that this guy is very clearly a sympathizer for our side, I don't know what else to say. And I try to explain this over and over again. But in a bourgeois parliament or elections or whatever, there are two types of politicians: sympathizers and opportunists that are on the left. Zohran is very clearly a sympathizer. He's also a politician, which means he's going to make decisions for personal survival. We have to make the calculation that he wants to side with us. But if he was left to his own devices, he's obviously coming in our direction. This is why it's important that he wins. Because if we cannot boost one of our own, if we cannot get one of our own across the finish line, why the fuck are we doing any of this shit? Is it a fucking book club? Being mayor of New York City means he's instantly being given the power over all of the most evil institutions in the city. The NYPD is not going to be single-handedly turned because of one guy winning the mayor's race, okay? It is an institution with roots that spread across the world. Getting the NYPD under control, reforming the NYPD is going to be a gargantuan task. Making it... And it's not going to be done simply and easily. And if you're like, fuck all that, Mike, abolish the NYPD. You think you can abolish the NYPD? You know what they'll do? They'll grab their guns. They'll grab their fucking guns and shoot at you. You think you can abolish the NYPD peacefully? While I understand that Zohran is a generational talent that plays a role in all of this, the fact that a Muslim immigrant socialist could win at the capital of capitalism really gives me hope for what we could do nationwide, man. Of course! This is the Mike from PA is vindicated. This is the Mike from PA. Do you understand how vindicated I am right now? Like, I'm sorry for saying it's not about me, but I'm just pointing this out. I said we need to run sewer socialist candidates in a debate. I specifically said that socialist municipal politics is a winner. I specifically said we'd be running. I said that this exact thing would happen if we did it, and it did, and it's working. I legitimately predicted this. I called for it. Like, this is the reality. And now you see it being tried and it's working. Literally, this is what I was calling for. Crosstabs for New York City poll. Mamdani crushing with men. Why do women like Cuomo so much? That's so fucking weird. Gen X, why are you like this? Gen X, why are you like this? Boomers, why are you like this? The divide between millennials and Gen X is crazy. It's like literally it happens like overnight. It's like there's 1 year where everybody's sane, and then every year, is it like, when did lead stop being sold? Like, I'm pretty sure lead was still sold when I was born. I'm pretty sure like the older millennials had lead in their air. I'm pretty sure I was in the lead area. Generation lead. I think I'm slightly poisoned. Age in 2015. Okay, so it would be so this is like 75, 76, 77, 78, 80, 81, 82, 83. This is 84 right here. So this is my birth year. Let's just say we were partially leaded. Partially leaded. Whereas, like, look how bad Gen X is. So if you're below 10, that's considered to be the danger zone, but not necessarily damaging and needs to be monitored. If you're above 10, that means you are getting brain damage for sure. So it seems like my age well, like you could literally, oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit. No, it really is. Oh my God. It is the border of Gen X. Holy shit. Look at this. You could see like when they banned it, it started immediately improving significantly. What the fuck? Holy shit. Look at this step. Holy fuck. No, it really is Gen X. Holy fuck. That's crazy. Gen X's are actually brain damaged. I know we've been saying this for a while, but holy fuck.
It was
cilantro is a natural chelator for lead. Okay, I'll mix it. I am a cilantro kind of enjoyer. I personally believe that cilantro just tastes like that, and some people like it, you know? I kind of like it. Mike does brain damage, the good old fat. Shut up, Bizarre.
Before Andrew Cuomo had even officially entered the race for mayor.
Yeah.
And even then, even before he entered the race, you were down 20 points in the polls. Since then,
Okay.
you ran a political campaign that, as you know, really caught the attention of the nation. You crushed him in the Democratic primary, and like there was a wake-up call to everyone in the entire nation, certainly the Democratic Party. But obviously, the race continues. He's running as an independent. So my question is, Election Day is on Tuesday, and the waning days of this campaign. What is your view of the state of the race, and what is your message to your supporters and to the people of New York writ large?
So I continue to be confident about where we are, but I am not complacent. This is still an election that we have to win. It's not one that's going to be given to us. And just this morning, my mom called me and she was like, which poll should I be trusting? Which one is real? Or should we be excited? Should we be scared? And I was like, at the end of the conversation, I went to the same thing that I always say, which is ABC, always be canvassing, right? Like the best way to deal with any of your anxiety, the best way to look at a bad poll, the best way to grapple with the question of this few days left is to get out there and speak to people. And, you know, my friend Charlie went to a canvass in Hell's Kitchen the other day, and he shared after the fact that he knocked on the door of some guy who said he was just tuning into the race now. And there are many of us for whom...
By the way, that's how a lot of people are. I mean, maybe not this late, but a lot of people don't even give a shit about politics until like weeks and months before the election. Like that, there are a lot of people like that.
This election has been everything we've lived and breathed and dreamt and slept for more than last year. There are a lot of New Yorkers who are too busy just trying to afford to live in this city. And those are the New Yorkers who are tuning in these last few days. Those are the New Yorkers we got to get out there and speak to.
I will say, I canvassed for you on the day of the primary, which was the hottest day I think I've ever experienced in New York City. It was great, but then like to go to a party that night, see the results roll in, and see you wash out Andrew Cuomo before even the second round had a chance to even be counted, felt great. So I will just recommend if you go out and canvass in these waning days, even if you haven't done so far. It'll make hopefully Tuesday night very exciting for you. I will say that regardless of how this election turns out, regardless of the outcome on Tuesday. Okay, well, you see
what are you doing?
I will say regarding your opponent, Andrew Cuomo has run one of the most disgraceful political campaigns in the history of New York City, if not this country, both by refusing to bow out after he was so resoundingly rejected by the electorate, but then what this campaign has become as he tries to do anything to, save his political career. I gotta say, Zohran, do you have a favorite hysterical political attack against you in the waning days of this campaign? I know it's all very personal, but is there any one specifically that's been most amusing to you? Because I know I have one.
There was a video he put out where he was filming something, and then somebody yelled my name at him, and he yelled back, "Ya mama." And then he chose to post that. That wasn't like somebody was there, they caught it, he shared it. But I also, you were just talking about that night of election night in the primary. He called me at 10:14 p.m. And one of the things I told him is now I want to do the work of uniting the party in delivering for the city. And he said, that's the key. And then he went on to launch a campaign that is such an illustration of everything that is both broken in the Democratic Party, but also in politics at large. And it is becoming increasingly desperate with each day that we get to Election Day. And if anything, it seems like an attempt to try and tear the city apart. And, you know, we believe in New York more than we believe in any of Andrew Cuomo's capabilities, so we'll be fine. But that is who he has been.
Well, along those lines, I have to say my personal favorite was when he accused you of being divisive to the city of New York, and particularly being divisive to the city's Sunni Muslim population by you yourself being Shia. I'm wondering, is that an issue that you've encountered on the campaign trail before?
I think what happened in that moment is he just found out about Sunnis and Shias. And he was like, I gotta get this into an answer to show them that I know. But I think I mean, a guy who couldn't visit a mosque for 10 years is now trying to lecture me on his perceptions of...
Can I just say that's fucking crazy? That's insane to me. I've been in Democratic politics for a long time, and we went to the local mosque all the time. I'm like, how are you not going? There's 1 million Muslims in New York City. Like, how the fuck are you not going to the mosque? What the fuck? That's so weird to me. That's wild. Dude, Republicans candidates come to our local mosque to campaign. Of course they do. Like, what?
Division within the Muslim community. I can tell you, I haven't seen the kind of excitement we've seen.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I met a Republican congressman at a mosque. Like, I've literally seen that happen
across the entirety of the Muslim community in so many years as to what's happening in these next few days.
Again, going off Andrew Cuomo, obviously, like, he has, in running as an independent, more or less openly courted the support of Donald Trump voters, and certainly his donors, the same people who fund his campaign. He's now going to them with his hands out. But like, the specter of Donald Trump, our current president, does loom over this.
Did you see Asmongold say that America is white people's land? What the fuck is white people? What the fuck is white people? Does he mean like a Russian in Russia right now? They're white, right? Are they? I don't know. It changes. Is it like a Polish guy's land in Poland right now, or a Greek guy? What is white? And does it mean like they're white because of their skin tone, or is it like a shade? Like, what the fuck is white people mean? Are Turks white? Are Greeks white? Are Georgians white? Like, please tell me more about what the fuck you're even saying.
Election. I mean, he has more or less said, if you're elected, he's going to take it, he's going to take, I don't know, some extraordinary measures to prevent that from happening, or to, fuck with you in your term as mayor. So, like, at the forefront of my mind right now, as we've seen in cities like Los Angeles, DC, Chicago, and like New York has experienced this as well, and I'm sure it will experience more of it if you're elected. Basically, the siege of these cities by federal paramilitary law enforcement. Should you be elected mayor on Tuesday, what can you do with the office of mayor? What are you going to do to protect New Yorkers, be they citizens, documented, undocumented, from this, basically occupation and attack on their lives and civil liberties?
I think the first thing is to make clear that we're protecting every single New Yorker, and we're not doing so on the basis of their documentation. We're doing so on the basis of whomever lives here. They deserve a mayor that sees them as part of the city and part of their responsibility. That's who I'm going to be. And what we've seen under the current mayor is someone who, the allegation quite literally is that he was able to retain his personal freedom in exchange for furthering the administration's immigration agenda. So the relationship is so close between City Hall and Washington, D.C., that it often feels like we have an ambassador as opposed to a mayor. And the key to this is not having any coordination with ICE in the manner that Eric Adams has offered. He went on national TV and opened the door to civil enforcement. I mean, that's disgusting. And, we've seen estimates that have ranged from up to...
Steve MRE posted a People's Liberation Army MRE video, and it's so much better than the newest US MRE. Can you explain why this pod got a YPG flag? Are they Kurdish? It's because they supported the YPG. And there didn't Piss Pid Granddad fight for the YPG? Brace? A friend of theirs went to Kurdistan and fought with the YPG.
5% decline in student attendance at schools across New York City.
What's an MRE? It means meal ready to eat. It's military rations. Zohran is doing all the media hits today.
Because of a fear from families of whether their kids will be safe when they go to school. And Eric Adams has time and again refused to take the opportunity to tell New Yorkers, New York City schools, New York City sites of contractors for New York City will not allow ICE agents into those properties unless they present a signed warrant that is signed by a judge. And that the absence of that information, it's what allows so much of this fear to take hold across the city. And we heard from Tom Homan himself on national television not too long ago that the more educated a population is as to its own rights, the more difficult it is for the federal government to terrorize and intimidate them. So this is part of the posture that I will take of actually protecting this city. And I also think we've seen in California, the mayor of LA, the attorney general of California, the governor of California came together, filed a lawsuit against the feds. Judge found in their favor that the deployment of the National Guard was illegal. And the attorney general found that for every dollar they spent there on legal fees, they won more than $30,000 in funds that would have otherwise been withheld by the feds. So I give this to you as an example of the court.
Wait, Brace really was in the YPG? How did people not know this? It's like one of the main crusty left. This is like the dirtbag lefts. Like, what do you mean? Everybody knows this photo. I mean, this is more, I guess every leftist millennial knows this, but maybe you Zoomers don't know this. My favorite apolitical podcaster, yeah. I've seen the photo, but I don't understand it. Oh, okay. Well, you should go read this article if you want to learn more. I don't want to get distracted by a deep dive into friends' lores.
The policies, the funding, the posture, all of these things are critical to actually defending this city.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you and your political campaign, what you represent, but also just New York City as a city, like as a history, as a place in this country, stands as like an ongoing living testament against everything the Stephen Millers of the world are attempting to erase. And like, how are you as a New Yorker and as like the figurehead or like the leader of the city of New York? Like, I would hope that we continue to like be a living, not just a living testament, but like a legal and physical blockade against the assault on the idea that like America is a place for immigrants, or that immigrants have a role to play in the history and future of this country.
Absolutely. And I think it even goes back to, look at New York City's law department. It was a law department that used to be on the front lines of some of the most seminal civil rights cases in the history of our country. And today it has been underfunded and subject to such austerity that it has fewer lawyers than it did before COVID. This is what we're looking at, where we are abdicating our responsibility.
It's exactly why Brace and Hassan will joke about how they both can't go to Turkey. It's not a joke. They both can't go to Turkey. It's not a joke.
To show an alternative to Trump's politics, because instead we're looking to mimic it. And it's time for us to actually turn the page on that. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Okay, like along these lines, I do have to ask you this question. And, full disclosure, I've already voted for you on Tuesday. But like,
I'll take questions on anything.
One of the things that like I have to admit, like as a supporter who's done like multiple fundraisers for you, did make me raise my eyebrow at, was your announced intention to retain Jessica Tisch as police commissioner. Again, the last time we spoke was in the aftermath of the NYPD crackdowns on the pro-Palestine protests at CUNY, at Columbia. Jessica Tisch oversaw that. So I guess my question is, shouldn't there be some professional consequences for someone who violated the civil liberties of New Yorkers that egregiously?
What we found from Eric Adams time and again is, first he said that the story was that Columbia was begging him to be able to send cops on campus. And then it was revealed at a town hall he did on the Upper West Side that he was actually begging Columbia. And so I put the responsibility of the way in which the police have been deployed time and time again, especially as it pertains to protests, firmly on the shoulders of Eric Adams. And I've been very clear. I'm not sending the police to enforce violations of college codes. The police should be caring about criminal codes. That's what their job is. And what I found, frankly, Eric Adams stacked the upper echelon of the NYPD with corruption and incompetence when Commissioner Tisch got in there, started to root out much of that corruption, take on the sexual abuse scandals that have been taking place, and start to deliver some accountability while reducing crime. I'm looking to build on that under my administration and deliver the public safety agenda I've been running on. That's an agenda that calls for the creation of the Department of Community Safety. It's also an agenda that calls for the disbanding of the Strategic Response Group. And it's an agenda that speaks about the necessity of delivering safety and justice together, because New Yorkers have too often been told it's one or the other.
And in terms of that, what makes you confident that Jessica Tisch is the woman who will work with that agenda rather than stymie it?
You know, I've seen in the work that she has done, and also in the commentary that she has shared in public as to her focus being on public safety, that to me is what gives me the confidence as a unifying person.
I think the Jessica Tisch thing is more about him not wanting to be de Blasio. He can't really say that out loud. No, it's guys, the NYPD is mutinous. So what do you do when you have an armed mutinous force? You have to contain it, and it has to be picked apart. You can't take them all on at once. This is just reality. I think a lot of leftists, they're so focused on like making like they want to make movies, basically. They want to do shit where they're like, fuck is this? They want to like go out there and do like some big gesture where they're like, I will stop all oppression, and there's like a fucking eagle flying behind them, as opposed to actually reckoning with what's going on in front of them and making decisions to win within that sphere. And I think this is a really good question, and I'm not in favor of keeping Tisch personally.
Purpose in this job at hand.
Okay, like here's another specific question that I'm actually looking for like an answer on. You know, when you go to fill out your ballot in this election day, there is a series of 6 ballot initiatives also that people will be asked to fill in. It's like 6 questions. Do you have like a strong position on any of these 6 yes or no questions, particularly questions 2 through 4, which deal specifically with like new authorities or like new methods of approving affordable housing? Will voting yes on these policies help your affordable housing agenda, or like how does your campaign feel about these questions 2 through 4 specifically?
So I haven't yet taken a position on the back of the ballot and on the ballot referendum questions, but I'm going to be voting on election day. And when I do get to a position, when I do vote, I'll be sharing that publicly.
All right. Well, we only have a little bit of time left, but like, assuming all goes as planned on Monday, and what we're all hoping for, that
Tuesday,
Tuesday. Tuesday is election day.
Come out and vote on Tuesday. Sunday's the one day you can't vote.
Jesus Christ. Oh man. Yes, election is held on Tuesday. This upcoming Tuesday. Should all go according to plan this Tuesday, what will the first 100 days of a Mamdani administration look like? What are you looking to do, like hitting the ground running? What are you trying to like, what is the thing that you're going to focus on immediately that you can get done the quickest?
It's going to be that focus on cost of living. And one of the key parts of delivering on this, as you can see right there, is freezing the rent for rent stabilized tenants and starting to build out the rent guidelines board that will actually be responsive to the facts of what New Yorkers are living through, and not the directives of a mayor who's looking to reward their real estate donors, which is what we saw under Eric Adams. So to me, that's going to be the crux of those first 100 days. And I think also what New Yorkers deserve is a mayor who's working as hard as they are, and somebody who's not learning on the job. So for me, it's not just November 4th, January 1st. It's actually November 5th to December 31st, the time of the transition. That's when you start to build out so much of what you're going to be delivering from day one.
Is that complicated by the positions Eric Adams has filled on the way out the door that like seem to be entirely opposed to something like a rent freeze?
You know, he is trying to. I think at one point he was looking at a reality TV star who stars in the show, I think it's Selling New York, which to me is like a very odd. It feels a little too like if you wrote that in the script.
A little on the nose, yeah.
You got to give me that again. But look, Eric Adams, what he's doing right now, what he's trying to do, it's a continued betrayal of working class voters, many of whom actually voted for him in 2021. And I'm still just as confident of our ability to deliver on this rent freeze, because what we're going to do is utilize every tool at our disposal to finally turn the page on what's just been rent hike after rent hike after.
The reason why he doesn't want to take a position on those is because it will split his coalition, because there are people who will be mad that he supports it, and there will be people that would be mad that he opposes it. And because he doesn't need to take a position, he is staying neutral. That's why. I mean, I'm sure like a lot of the initiatives make the mayor more powerful. He's about to be mayor. Do the fucking math. But in the future, if we had a bad mayor, you know, maybe they could make bad decisions with it. That being said, how about we just have good mayors then? I think the worst way to do politics is to be afraid of bad people coming into power and then doing bad decisions. Therefore, you're going to stop yourself from doing good decisions. I don't think that is effective. I think what you go out there and do is you do the best fucking policies you could accomplish. You make yourself as popular as you can, and you work from there. And you try to get a bunch of shit done. Because you know what happens? People anchor. They anchor onto the policies that you have. They anchor onto the gains that have been made, right? Like rolling things back is a hell of a lot harder. So I personally think you should roll in and get as much as you can done. You should put as much power as you can in your hands while you have it.
A rent hike under Eric Adams.
All right, Mr. Mamdani, I know you got to go.
But I'm not in New York, so I can't I honestly don't know enough about the initiatives to tell you. Like I hate to be neutral myself. I just don't know enough about the initiatives to tell you. I'd have to like really look into them, and it's like
busy man. But the last question I want to ask you is, like, what do you think your campaign portends for the future of American politics? I know, like, for myself, people my age and younger, they've been told so often that, like, they can't have any of the things they want, that it's just not possible. It's just not reasonable. Should you be elected, upending a lot of the conventional wisdom, what do you think that, like, that holds for, like, a message for, like, the future of this country and what is politically possible in it?
You know, I'm trying to keep my horizons kind of similar to that New Yorker cover where the world...
the great Saul Steinberg, yes.
I see it over there. I'm like, that's the corporate tax rate I want. And then I...
Clown Diesel says, I'm a letter carrier with the United States Postal Service in the Chicago suburbs, and ICE assaulted one of our carriers yesterday. Jesus.
See the rest of it. I'm like, that's the city I serve. I mean, I think it's been so exciting to be a part of this campaign, my friend. Like, truly building something with so many other New Yorkers who have been told time and again that politics could never be more than celebrating the little that so many have. It's an opportunity for us to show that an affirmative vision is not only a necessity, it's also actually the way in which we fight authoritarianism. If your democracy cannot deliver on the material needs of working people, people will not care about saving your democracy. They can only save something that is looking to save themselves. And that's what we have to show once again. The fabric that has been split apart in our politics, it has to be stitched back
on the left
together with working people right at the heart of it. And there's no easy segue here, but I do also just want to shout out Sharif's famous halal food if anybody's ever around at 31st and 6th. Because I think the other lesson this campaign tells is you can talk about inflation using the cost of halal.
Very good. Sir, one last very quick question. Are the Knicks going to the finals this year?
Come on, brother. We're going all the way. There's no number of cease and desist letters James Dolan can send me that's ever going to get me to say a different answer.
There you go. Zohran Mamdani, wishing you the best of luck. Remember, election day is on Tuesday, but you can still vote early.
Tuesday. Everyone's like, how good are these polls? I'm like, well, a lot of my supporters think the election's on Monday.
All right. Zohran Mamdani, just a reminder, we will have links in this episode description to Canvas, Phone Bank. I will make an appeal again. Get out there and work for the outcome that you want to see on Tuesday. Zohran, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for this campaign. It's really been inspiring. Truly, Will, it's been a joy to build this. And I see you paraphrasing Mahatma Gandhi there at the end. Be the change you want to see in the world. I see you. A little bit of light plagiarism I wasn't even aware I was doing. But, you know. All right. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Bye.
I mean, listen. Zohran taking his time and going around, like, this is why I need a fucking manager, chat. I absolutely need a manager that just starts harassing people to get them on my show. What am I doing, chat? I might have to do it. I might have to pull that trigger. And once I do, I'll be like, why didn't I do this before? Zohran spending the last days of his campaign showing love to the cab drivers he helped receive debt relief. Yeah. He's an actual good guy, chat. He's an actual good guy. All right. Zohran is on Pod Save America. I hate Pod Save America. I really do. I really fucking do. But if they want to bring me on, I will debate them very vociferously to their face.
My guest today is running to be the next mayor of New York City. Zohran Mamdani, thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back.
So election day is less than a week away. How are you feeling? What's keeping you guys up at night at this point besides, I guess, everything?
You know, my mom called me this morning. She was like, "Which poll am I supposed to trust?" And I was like, "None of them.
No, none.
Just canvas, just canvas." We feel confident, but we also don't want that confidence to become complacency, because every time I get a text from somebody who I went to high school with telling me, "Look at how good the betting odds are on Kalshi," I'll tell them,
No.
"Look at how good they were for Andrew Cuomo 3 days before the primary." It's an election that you have to win. It's not just going to be given to you.
That's right. And if people want to knock some doors, Zohran for NYC.com/GOTV. Is that right?
That is exactly right. And I would recommend you come out, you knock where, whatever neighborhood is closest to you. It might even be your own. And if you're not in New York City or you can't make a canvassing shift, you can still phone bank, because the story of how we won the Democratic primary is as much the 1.6 million doors we knocked as it is the 2.1 million phone calls we made.
Here's my pitch. October, November is a
Oh my Lord in heaven. Canvassing, man. Would come up with an email template to let viewers and email politicians and content creators to collab with you. I'm sure you are skeptical of this idea, but worth a shot to ask. You said you want to talk to Gavin, but you haven't reached out to his team. You could probably get Lean and Khan if you ask. I could try. Sure, that's a good
beautiful
idea.
time in
I
New York
should.
City to be outside knocking on doors. You will have conversations with voters that surprise the hell out of you, like they didn't know there was an election happening. They don't know the difference between the candidates. You will learn something about politics that you did not know. And also, you probably will do it with a group of people that are young and excited and inspired by a campaign, and not like just talking about Donald Trump. So give it a shot.
We should just have you doing the pitches.
I'm in. I'm sold.
Come on. The only downside I'll tell you is, after my mom came back from a canvassing shift, she was like, the 25-year-old I was paired with walked too fast. I was like, I can handle that.
That's a good downside. So, like, bigger picture, President Trump has gone all in to defeat you. He got like Eric Adams to drop out. He's clearing the field. Some of his biggest donors are back in Cuomo. He's overtly threatening to punish the city if you win. What is it like having the full force of the Trump administration coming down on your campaign? And do you think those threats are intimidating voters or make them worry, like, I don't know, if I vote for this guy, is Trump going to send the National Guard into my city?
I think this campaign shows New Yorkers a glimpse of what it would be like in governing, in that Donald Trump is sparing no effort at trying to stop our campaign, right? As you've said, pushed Eric Adams out of this race, has made very clear that Andrew Cuomo is his pick. And it's Donald Trump billionaires who put him back in the White House who've been the ones that are funding Andrew Cuomo's very narrow path back to City Hall. And yet, in spite of all of that, in spite of millions of dollars being spent every single day, we're still seeing an outpouring of support from New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. And I think it is New Yorkers who refuse to believe that the two choices in politics are either what we are living through right now in the most expensive city in America, or that it could be worse. Politics has to also offer a vision of life that is better than this, and also has to offer the will to deliver on that vision. And that's what is so exciting is, yes, we will continue to have threats from Donald Trump, but we've also seen those threats existed while he had the most collaborative mayor in New York City history to the Donald Trump agenda. He had Eric Adams, who quite literally knew that his personal freedom was a reality in exchange for him assisting with the administration's immigration agenda. And in spite of that coordination, still the Trump administration took $80 million from New York City's bank accounts. Still, they suspended more than $50 million from New York City schools. Still, they look to suspend $18 billion in infrastructure funding. And so we know that the threats, we know that
like, Donald Trump is such a disgusting little fucking worm, dude. You are from New York and you're gonna fucking deny infrastructure money? God, what a fucking worm, dude. Like, what a complete worm. Don't you people get tired of sitting in traffic in the tunnel? Like, god damn, dude.
attempts at intimidation will continue.
Meanwhile, we spent $40 billion sending it to Argentina so they could buy pesos.
I'm confident in our administration and in our city's ability to rebuff them.
Yeah, and we cannot let him dictate elections all over the world or here. I know in this final sprint, you guys are leaving no stone unturned. You're trying to persuade every last voter. In that spirit, have you considered reaching out to the fake Bill de Blasio who did an interview with the Times of London attacking you?
I couldn't believe that. It was, I think he lives on Long Island, right?
So I reached out. I reached out to the fake Bill de Blasio. I shit you not. It turns out that they emailed. Please.
Honestly,
bleep that.
not a bad attempt. There are a lot of politicians who have pretty straightforward contact addresses.
Yeah, that is true. Bill wrote me back. He said he would be happy to chat this morning.
Bill?
The Bill de Blasio that was featured in the Times of London. Yeah, Times of London Bill. He told me he'd be happy to chat. I sent him a list of questions, and he didn't write back. So either he didn't like me, or he's doing the most authentically de Blasio thing ever by being super late. So we'll find out.
I read articles where people reached out to him, and then he told them, "Meet me on the steps of City Hall. Let's fight." And then he showed up, and then they emailed him, "Where were you?"
Oh my God.
I don't think there's another guy with my name, but I did meet a grocery store owner named Zohran on Steinway the other day. Shout outs to you.
Shout out that guy. I really wanted fake Bill to let me know whether you thought Curtis Silla was saying glazing too much.
Couldn't Zohran expropriate Trump's NYC properties in retaliation for Trump withholding funds? I feel like that would be unlikely that's not a public purpose. If you're going to do eminent domain, it has to be done for a public purpose, and there has to be fair compensation. The Constitution says that. So the Constitution both authorizes and regulates expropriations in the U.S. So if you're going to take someone's shit, it has to have a public purpose. And making Trump mad, I don't know if that counts. 30 minutes to launch?
神舟21号
They're launching crew to the space station. Cool.
07号
Is it funny? Is it try hard? What was your take?
Well, that was the first time I'd heard it, and I thought it was quite funny on that stage.
Yeah, it was a good moment. Okay, jokes aside, the Times of London is a Murdoch paper. The fact that this London-based newspaper was so desperate to write something shitty about you that they humiliated themselves by interviewing a fake Bill de Blasio, it suggests a level of interest in your campaign from Rupert Murdoch that strikes me as a bit ominous. Like, does that worry you at all? You guys feel ready for like 4 years of the New York tabloid treatment?
We are. We're ready for it. We've been living through it through the course of this campaign. And it's also an opportunity to make the case to each and every New Yorker as opposed to write people off. And what I mean by that is, we had this rally at Forest Hills. We had more than 10,000 people there. One of the attendees, I was stepping out onto the stage, and a member of our NYPD security detail pulled me aside. They were like, "Sir, I just want you to know in your line of sight, you will see someone with a MAGA hat." We checked, and they're here sincerely. And I walk out, and there's a guy with a MAGA for Mamdani hat and a MAGA for Mamdani t-shirt.
I'm very familiar with this guy. I call him the average coherent American voter. Apparently some communist group went up to him and it made him hold their newspaper. So they were like, "Look, we got him to hold our newspaper."
And I say this to you as an example of, there will be many New Yorkers who read the Post as the way that they get their news, and I'm still looking to reach out to them as well. And it was actually the Post that has endorsed a piece of legislation that I introduced quite some time ago, though they probably won't recall. And that's what it means to have a desire to serve each and every New Yorker, not just the ones who already agree with you.
Yeah, and you seem to actually believe it when you say it, unlike the President of the United States. So this question is a bit of a journey, but bear with me. So the closing message from a bunch of your opponents is in some part, overt bigotry and Islamophobia. There's Cuomo laughing when a radio host suggested you cheer at another 9/11. Adams and Curtis Lewis said some vile things I'm just not going to repeat. At the same time, I'm watching Donald Trump blow up boats off the coast of Venezuela and kind of marry up the war on drugs with the war on terror in just the worst way possible. And for me, it's just the latest reminder that this country has not moved on from the post 9/11 fear-based war on terror policies and politics. And you recently gave this remarkable speech where you addressed the Islamophobic attacks on you, and you said, quote, "The bigger question is whether we are willing to say goodbye to anti-Muslim sentiment that has grown so endemic in our city that when we hear it, we know not whether the words were spoken by a Republican or a Democrat. We know only that it was spoken in the language of politics in this city." A great speech. Everyone should watch it. It's up on YouTube. It's only 10 minutes long. And my question is, where do you think your campaign fits in that process, in that journey, this decades-long effort now to move past the post 9/11 politics of fear?
I hope that this campaign represents to New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs the possibility of being their full selves in the city that they call home. Because I spoke in that speech about how for a long time many Muslims were made to feel as if that safety could only be found in the shadows. And 2 days after I gave that speech, I went to Abyssinian Church, and Reverend Johnson gave a sermon, in part in response to my speech, speaking about the allure of the shadows and the necessity of stepping out of those shadows. And he looked at me in the course of that speech and he told me that I was enough. And these are the words that I think many New Yorkers need to hear, in understanding that there is no amount of shrinking themselves into a box that will ever be sufficient. And he quoted from the Bible and spoke about Esther. And when she said, if I perish, I perish. You know, if the cost of living up to the moment and what it is demanding of me is to lose myself, it is still worth doing so. And I continue to see in New Yorkers, many of them Muslim, but many of them also not, this feeling of an ever narrowing definition of who gets to belong in the city is the antithesis of what makes so many so proud to be New Yorkers. And I think that there's this tendency to think in an era where we have a bully in the White House that the only way to take him on is to become the bully ourselves. It's similar to the articles that were written after the presidential election when we saw the rightward shift in New York.
Here's what I would say. I think that being a happy warrior is good, but Zohran is not a pussy. He's a smiley, happy guy, but when he goes on the debate stage, he has sharp fucking elbows. So you don't want to be considered an asshole when you need to lay down, when you need to put out, you know, a straight right, he fucking does it. And he goes low. He doesn't mind. He won't be like Bernie Sanders and call Biden his friend. Exactly. I want somebody who's going to go up there and fight back. Oh my God. U.S. poised to strike military targets in Venezuela. Okay, so this is just illegal. This is just blatantly illegal. This is a blatant war of aggression. It's illegal under international law. It's illegal under U.S. law. There is no imminent danger to the United States of America. This is a fucking illegal war. The Trump administration has made the decision to attack installations inside Venezuela. The strikes can come at any moment. The planned attacks will seek to destroy military installations used by drug trafficking organization in the U.S. The U.S. says is headed by Venezuelan strongman Nicolas Maduro and run by top. So this is just hallucinations. This is just blatant propaganda. Sources told the Herald that the targets, which could be struck by air in a matter of days or even hours, also aim to decapitate the cartel's hierarchy. U.S. officials believe the cartel exports around 500 tons of cocaine yearly, split between Europe and the United States. That's it. When Hassan flies to China, we're going to invade Venezuela. So chat, I'll be here. When Hassan's on the plane, I'll be here. So make sure you're following the Mike from PA the Central _committee channel for the live Venezuela invasion coverage. That would, like, we may have to lock Hassan in his home. Maduro is about to find himself trapped and might soon discover that he cannot flee the country even if he decided to. What's worse for him, there is now more than one general willing to capture and hand him over, fully aware that one thing is to talk about death and another to see it coming. They've doubled the reward for information leading to Maduro's arrest to 50 million, but again, are they actually going to pay anyone? Doubt. This is just news propaganda. Jesus Christ.
In order to defeat the Republican Party, we may have to become the Republican Party. The truth is, in fact, we have to live up to what made so many people excited to be a part of it.
Did you cover the insane CBS segment? No, send it.
Democratic Party, when we had an affirmative vision for the dignity of working class people. And I think that we have been far too willing to cast so many aside in the hopes of retaining power, as opposed to building a coalition that can win power. That is what I hope that we are on the precipice of right now.
As you know, at the same time, your opponents in the New York Post, again, like they're closing the campaign by going back to this focus on your views on Israel. Specifically, they're circulating this clip from 2023 where you said, quote, "We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it has been laced by the IDF." Was that a reference to just like police training that happens often, including NYPD, going to Israel to get training from the IDF or the Israeli police or intelligence?
That's what that was a reference to. And I find that no matter how much we have, whether it be the Post or whether it be my opponents, looking to make the closing message of this race about anything other than the most pressing crisis in New Yorkers' lives. I found that New Yorkers, when I actually meet them in person across the 5 boroughs, it still comes back to the same thing that they told me more than a year ago. Cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And I think in many ways we see that all Andrew Cuomo has is a vision of the past, as it was, as it should have been, and what we have actually is a vision of the future. And we're going to see the contrast of that only increase over the next 5 days.
When I watch your campaign, when I watched the great rally you did with AOC and Bernie on Sunday, and I see that energy, like it brings me back to 2007 when I was young and working for Barack Obama in Iowa, and like everything was ahead of us. It was all hope and excitement, and there was nothing we couldn't do. And then, of course, as you know, right, like candidates become, get elected, and you face inevitable setbacks, and sometimes your supporters can feel frustrated.
I'm migrating here. Can't wait to spend my mornings here. Love actually learning about things instead of purity testing people. Can I get a gifted subs? Sure. Somebody do it. I think this is the Venezuela CBS clip the chatter was talking about. Thank you.
Short supply in Venezuela. Hunger, chronic blackouts, and a scarcity of essential medicines plague the country. Today,
why do they plague the country?
More than 70% of residents live in poverty. It is a stunning reversal of fortune for a nation that was once one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Venezuela's economy was crippled by disastrous socialist policies.
What? What? What are you talking? We've been sanctioning them for 20 years, practically.
And mismanagement, a crisis exacerbated by 20 years of U.S. sanctions imposed in
okay, there you go.
Direct response to the regime's anti-democratic actions, human rights violations, and corruption. That triggered triple-digit inflation and a humanitarian crisis. Back at the market in Caracas.
You mean they stole every single piece of property the country had and prevented any country from trading with them? Wow, the corruption of the CV. Like, how could you read that shit?
This woman said the $50 a week that she earns isn't enough to feed her family, and courageously answered this question.
What do you think would happen if President Maduro was removed from office?
Venezuela would change, she said. We would all be free. She told us she has plans to move to Spain in a few months. Nearly 8 million Venezuelans have fled the country in the last decade, roughly 1/5 of its population.
Man, it's such an authoritarian hellhole that you could have street vendors openly saying shit and Western reporters could just wander around spreading propaganda. It's so authoritarian.
Most of those who remained hoped last year's presidential election would be a turning point. But even after tallies showed the opposition won nearly 70% of the vote, Maduro refused to leave, stealing the presidency. Protests were met with brutal crackdowns, which the UN says included jailing, torturing, and even murder.
I think, like, legitimately, like,
freedom
that's the propaganda. That's why no one watches this shit anymore. We all learned our lessons from the Bush administration. Like, we all learned our lesson from the Bush administration. Now, I have my problem with Maduro, and I have my problem with the way Venezuela has been managed. And ultimately, one of the things that I think you learn is that the United States of America doesn't believe in anything, right? There isn't sovereignty. It's the United States global hyper hegemony, which just means if you stand up to the United States, all the international rules and laws do not apply. The only thing that matters is, can you actually stop the U.S. military? Can't stop the U.S. military, then you don't have a say. That's why you see all these European countries, wealthy countries, on their knees kissing Trump's feet.
Or demoralized.
Also, the election thing is just...
And I just wondered if you have thought about that or worried about, how much hope and excitement there is behind your campaign and how many young people are getting involved and feeling like your campaign...
Listen, if Venezuela, like the party of power has very clearly been declared an enemy by the U.S., which means the United States is going to try to do everything they can to make your country shit. I can understand why people are fleeing that. That's just normal to fear being killed.
Is the avenue to get them back into politics and feel that excitement again, and how they can prepare themselves for how difficult it is to govern?
You know, I think that with hope comes an immense responsibility to deliver on the promise of it. And I take very seriously that responsibility because, as you've said, this is a hope that for many New Yorkers has been the first time they've experienced it in the politics of their city. For others, it's the first time they've experienced it in years since the last time they actually engaged with politics. And the things that are written behind me, these cannot just be slogans. These have to be commitments that we deliver on. And it will be hard, it will be difficult, but I continue to believe that what we have seen in our politics in this city for far too long is an unwillingness to even try, an unwillingness to even dream of the life that people actually deserve. And I know that the coalition we've built has proved that impossible is nothing on many a different juncture over the course of this last year. I know that we can continue to do the same in actually governing this city, delivering on these promises, and showing New Yorkers that when they look for representation in their city hall, they will find it in the struggles that we focus on, because those will be the struggles that New Yorkers are experiencing each and every day.
Final question. What is more annoying, people whining on message boards about Arsenal's playing style or Bill Ackman's tweets? Tough one.
You know, it's tough. It's tough. I'm gonna say it's got to be Arsenal, because at this point, Bill, I've come to expect the tweets. I kind of look forward to the tweets. It feels like you're trying to tweet as many as we would tax you, but you're spending even more than that. But when it comes to the Arsenal message boards, guys, we've been through the tough years. Come on.
Is Arteta getting fired if Arsenal doesn't win the Premier League?
Arteta in. I'm not even entertaining that hypothetical.
Okay. I love this.
This is what's wrong with the media. Every other question was fair. And
why is it okay? Because mainstream media is nothing more than a propaganda arm of our intelligence agencies. I'm sorry that you don't understand. Like, our country has basically devolved into a full-blown, openly fascist country. It used to be a lot more subtle. But as they've gotten dumber, it's become less subtle, and now it's undeniable. And now you're experiencing power being exercised.
You went the wrong way.
Zohran Mamdani, thank you so much for doing the show. Again, that's zohran4nyc.com/GOTV if you want to knock on some doors. Best of luck next week.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate you guys.
I mean, everybody, if Zohran were not to win, let's say the billionaires got their way, that would be an ultimate sign of the utter collapse of America into fascism. Like, literally. I think that would be a sign to like leave the country, because there is no politics that are capable of being done. Like, literally, that's how bad that would be. Because Andrew Cuomo is so unattractive as a candidate that if the people voted for him, that would be a sign that there is no soul in the human heart for an American. Everyone needs nukes. Russia and China need to give nukes to Venezuela, threaten to nuke the mainland US if they invade. Now is the time for Chinese. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. China is trying to keep itself from being contained right now. China is vulnerable because they depend upon food and energy imports. They have absolutely no desire to fight wars. They're not insane like the US is. So apparently there was a Power in Unity gala in Brooklyn for Democrats, and Chuck Schumer sent it a video. And nobody cared. They all swore Zohran. Completely irrelevant.
We've got tens of millions for public housing and nicer developments. 100 million for
completely fucking irrelevant. Oof. Yikes. Overall, I'd say things are actually in a really good spot. I'm excited. I'm excited for Tuesday. I want to do some like late night coverage of the election. I might do 2 streams on either I'll do 2 streams on Tuesday, or I am going to go on someone else's stream. I'll figure it out. Will we get Mike in a suit on Tuesday? I honestly need to get a new suit. The BRICS will collapse. Economic alliance means jack shit when you get invaded and bombed by the US. I don't think there's going to be any like Brazil, like these regional powers that are growing. The United States is not going to directly confront any of them. Venezuela is being confronted because it was a country that had the potential to become a regional power, and the United States wanted to hem it in. I'm not watching that fucking Venezuela propaganda bullshit. Sorry, chat. Fuck that. I ain't watching that shit. Holy fucking hell. Kamala Harris on Jon Stewart. Oh my god, dude. Did Hassan watch this? I don't know that I could take this much liberal brain rot. Was it terrible? The American far right's anti-Semitism is an embrace of Holocaust denier. The Americans far left's anti-Semitism is electing a mayor who is pro-Palestine, wants to arrest Netanyahu, and was endorsed by his main Jewish rival. Both sides. Noah Smith, if you see Noah Smith on the street, you should say hi to him for me. Because like this pussy has blocked me for 5 years. What a loser. God, top Trump officials move into military bases. Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, and others have taken homes that recently housed senior officers. Jesus Christ. All right, chat. There needs to be a countdown. Come on, China. Where's the countdown? All right, let's take a look at this. Look at the Venezuela, not Noah opinion. It's a fucking centrist, not Noah Colwyn. Not Noah Colwyn. I'm talking about Noah opinion. It's some fucking worthless centrist. He doesn't matter. This is what I need to tell you guys about military shit. Military stuff is not like a video game. It's not about getting a gun and pointing it at another soldier. Okay, that is not how wars are fought. Okay, like if you want an understanding of how wars are fought, you need to understand that this shit isn't. It hasn't been this way since the 1860s, and even then, artillery and cavalry were incredibly important. All right, like this is not how wars are not fought by individuals holding rifles. Right? It is a lot more than that. In an unprecedented move, Austria is regulating rents for the entire country. All apartments that already have government regulation have seen a total rent freeze this year. All formerly unregulated units are getting rent stabilization to limit landlord rent hikes. Vienna has had rent control since the 90s. Should Canada develop nukes? I mean, can't say that I would say no.
We're now 5 days from Election Day and the biggest mayoral race in the country that could upend all conventional wisdom in the three-way race. There's Democratic Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's running as an independent, and Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. All of them have been busy crisscrossing the city campaigning. A new Marist poll out today of likely New York City voters show Mamdani with 48% over Cuomo's 32% and Sliwa's at 18%. Now, the stakes are high if Mamdani is elected. President Trump has threatened to withhold federal funding for the city and deploy National Guard troops here, as he's done or pledged to do in other Democratic-led cities like Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Portland. For months, the president has often gone after Mamdani.
We have a communist who's 33 years old, doesn't know a damn thing. Practically, he's never worked a day in his life. And he sort of caught on. And I'm not going to send a lot of money to New York. We're not going to ruin one of our great cities because we'll make that great.
Just want to say you helped me see something a bit clearer. After yesterday's Plattner discussion, I decided to sit back and stop discussing my criticisms of the campaign such Plattner. I don't want to call looking off of his policies or that I support the piece of shit Zionists who are running against him. This is basically, listen, if another left-winger emerges in Maine, I will happily support them, you know? But as far as there's so many different races in this country, the obsession over Plattner has gotten to the point where it's like, bro, there's 100 senators. There are 435 representatives. There are 50 governors. There are thousands of state representatives and senators. Why are you hyperfixating on one fucking guy when he's nowhere near the worst? Even if you consider him going in the military to be so evil, there are literal CIA libs running who are pro-Zionist running to be governor of Virginia, and you never hear a fucking mum word about them. Why is that? Because there is no money. The Zionists want you yelling about Plattner because he is pro-Palestinian. So you're yelling about Plattner. And, you know, for me, I don't want to do the shit my enemy wants me to do. And anyone who's a Zionist is my enemy.
We will clean up the crime in about 30 days. And all of these cities, we want to clean them up. We don't like
the Zionists are making us yell about Plattner. No, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying the Zionists want you yelling about Plattner. They're not making you do anything. They are the reason why they're pumping up all this shit constantly is because he's pro-Palestinian. Now, I have a lot of criticism of him, which is why I'm not like pumping him up all the time. But you don't have to speak on someone. You could just be like, I have concerns about his record as a member of Blackwater. I don't like some of his policies on anti-imperialism, and in general, he doesn't excite me. That's a totally fine position to take. But to pretend like Plattner is some sort of special and unique threat to the left is insane compared to the literal CIA agent Zionist running for governor of Virginia that you never hear about. That's all I'm saying. Like,
precisely limited to within 1 second.
all right.
Exactly.
China's launching some astronauts to their space station.
They're waiting.
The United States of America cannot do this.
青山 USB 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。酒泉光学跟踪正常。双城光学雷达跟踪正常。
Holy shit, people watching and giving a shit about space. I got used to the opposite. I am an old school socialist. We believe in space exploration. We want to learn about the mysteries of the universe. We want to be dominating space.
To change its direction to vertically.
Who takes astronaut to the ISS? SpaceX?
We are hearing the orders saying that everything is functioning well.
Yeah. And the next critical step will be jettisoning of the emergency escape tower. Usually, it happens at about 2 minutes after liftoff.
We can hear the orders saying that everything is normal.
Yes. You can see the beautiful flames of the 8 engines, 4 mounted in the core stage and 4 other engines mounted on each of the 4 boosters.
And now we can see the Long March carrier rocket has been successfully lifted off with the Shenzhou 21 spacecraft.
Exactly. At liftoff, each of the engines
Why can't you speak Chinese?
About 75 tons.
My
so
Kubian mind can't handle its subtleties.
More than 600 tons. That's a very big thrust. And with the attitude goes on, the thrust will be bigger.
Wow, the Shenzhou 20 crew is watching closely.
Yeah. So at
waiting
this
for their
moment, they will
peers.
experience very intensive vibration and also G-forces. Usually the peak of the G-forces can reach to 3.6 times than your own mass. So they must be trained.
So we can see the escape tower
has escaped, has jettisoned.
Escaped.
So the next step will be
from the crash.
So in the Long March, they have what's known as an abort tower, which is a structure that, in case there's a problem with the rocket lower down, it can separate the capsule and save the astronauts. Now, in America, we haven't really had anything like that for a while. So a lot of astronauts got blown up in the shuttle.
Separation of the 4 boosters. It will happen soon. We can see the infrared image video on this screen. This is a video camera mounted on the launch vehicle, looking backwards.
And now we're waiting.
Any Frumpa chatters learning or have learned Chinese and have recommendations? I think you can ask. I think we have a couple chatters that are living in China right now.
Boosters.
Oh, great! You can see the boosters separated.
Separated.
The 4 points. It form a cross.
So there were 4 boosters. So and they have all separated.
And the first stage also separated.
First stage is separated.
Yep. Now you can see the brightest spot is the second stage. On the second stage, we have 1 main engine and 4 vernier engines. The 4 vernier engine can change its direction to control the attitude of the.
Do I think there's a positive future for Mexico? Depends on how bad things are in the U.S. and how aggressive the U.S. is to Mexico.
Now seems to be really calm and confident.
Yeah, Mr. Wu Fei is still reading the manual, so they are very calm.
Mr. Wu Fei sits on Zhang Lu's right.
On the right side. Oh, the payload fairing is separated.
The firing has also separated.
So the second stage will work much longer than the first stage. And our next critical step will be MECO, or the main engine cutoff. But the 4 vernier engines will work longer because you know that the vernier engine, the thruster is very small, but it can change its direction, so it can the trajectory very precisely to ensure that the final orbit of the Shenzhou spacecraft is very accurate.
You mean the rocket is still carrying out a gravity turn, adjusting its direction now?
And you may notice that all the three crew members are reading their manuals. On this manual, it not only has the instruction of the normal procedure, but also has the instruction of every abnormal procedure. So the master physics.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we all have checklists. I mean, shit. That's pretty normal stuff. All right, well, there you have it, chat. The Chinese are setting 3 new taikonauts to the Heavenly Palace space station. Soon it will be the only space station in orbit because the International Space Station is going to be falling into the Pacific due to a decision by the Trump administration. Falling out of orbit. Emma Vigeland met Zohran.
All right, we'll get to the meaty stuff in just a second.
All right.
Quick question for you. What's your favorite street food?
I think it has to be halal, chicken over rice.
Halal chicken over rice.
Because
That's
it's
a pretty good one.
currently $10 across a lot of New York City, but vendors have said if we pass the reform bills that we've talked about, it could be $8.
All right, we'll get to the meaty stuff in just a second.
All right.
Quick question for you. What's your favorite street food?
I think it has to be halal, chicken over rice.
Sorry, chat. For me, it's all about that glizzy. It's all about the glizzy. There's nothing that compares to a dirty water dog. You gotta get the glizzy. America fat white man. Actually, I'm kidding. What I really like are skewers. This is a video which ranks celebrities speaking Chinese. For me, the ultimate celebrities speaking Chinese will forever and always be, where's John Cena at? Where's John Cena? There better be John Cena on here.
John Cena, or Cena, he's a pro wrestler, you know that WWE wrestling.
Yeah. Wrestler turned actor, right?
And he was in Fast and Furious 9, and he went to China to promote it. Anyway, I'll play you a couple of clips, but this is the first one.
Okay. This guy is Fallon
我很喜欢冰淇淋，但是《速度与激情》中比冰淇淋《速度与激情》中我最喜欢。
Yes, I like that a lot. Probably not for the right reasons, though. I didn't understand some of the words.
The grammar was a bit weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It sounded like he was going to say one thing, and then he sort of got it wrong and said it in a different way.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to say, 速度与激情9比冰淇淋好 or something, but then he changed it to 我最喜欢.
Oh, okay, you know? Okay. Yeah. He lost me there for a second, but he was excited.
He's excited.
If there's a category for excitement of speaking Chinese, I think he's top of that.
Oh, yeah, he's...
I'm sorry, chat, but no Falun Gong propaganda on my community. This is the only propaganda we get.
It's on camera. So what? It was like literally, oh yes, I went to the doctor. They gave me a test. And let's just say, and phenomenal scores, maximum scores, the biggest scores ever. Mr. President, that was a dementia test. What? No way. There's no way it was dementia test. I've taken many of those before. That's how it went down. Like
Donald Trump, he just wants you to know, AOC, I want you to take an IQ test with me. AOC, take an IQ test. I've been taking a lot of intellect tests lately. I think a lot of people want to see how smart I am. It's Friday Fun Day, chat. Why do
Pakistan Patan. Today we have to the bordering of Afghanistan. We near have to the Afghani OCC border area. We have to the rocket launcher firing after the people 35 wanted to blasting.
That's pretty good. I like the Italian version. This is the one that makes me laugh the most.
Choose now and whole building scene in a whole red map begin to color boss dying. Chickens and my begin to cold, baby shoes now, and whole building scene, then a whole red map begin to call the boss dying. Well, it's the same range you can't be seen. You know, for some another just got play with the jam. You the common not choose, not buying for not soul, hope, just again, along the cover, no fine. All the difference is stand, the light the shoes go, my man. You can trust in the man, it's called the rain girls. Oh, Sunday.
Italian speaking English is so good. I did not mean to post Falun Gong propaganda. Please accept a video of G personable moments as an apology. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. He likes to smile.
我就是记得有一张和你们照的相，当时吃完早餐，你要带着女儿去上班和上学，我们说到门口照一张相。Wow.
Yeah,
that's
fantastic.
No
gift was necessary. Just the gift of his time and his friendship was more than we could.
实际上，你不需要再送我们这样的礼物。30年没有。
All right, chat. Now there's a channel on this website called The Majority Report with Samuel Cedar. And for many years, I was a frequent caller to Majority Report before I started my own show. And I used to have debates with Samuel Cedar on one issue, and I kept telling him, centrist Democrats and vote blue no matter who only goes one way. They would rather lose or leave the party than support a progressive. So every single time you're like, well, we need to vote blue no matter who. What you're really doing is you are reinforcing your enemies. And the centrist Democrats only want to win. They would rather lose to Republicans than win with a progressive. And we had this debate many times. Many times. Now it's starting to sound like the Majority Report is copying from my answers.
Science is political. Vox has an article from a center-left group that is already trying to seed the ground that progressives don't turn out voters and their policies are viewed as too liberal.
And by the way, Hillary Clinton, longtime resident of New York City, would you vote for Zohran? Remember, guys, vote blue no matter who. How many times did we get yelled at that we had to vote for Kamala, for Biden, for Clinton? How many times? I mean, I did. I voted for Biden. I voted for Clinton. Because of those arguments. Now she's being asked, will you vote for the Democratic nominee in New York City?
Next week in this city, it does seem like Mamdani will become mayor. I'm going to ask this quite bluntly. Do the Jews in this city have a reason to be concerned?
We'll have to see what happens. I hope not.
The fact that this is someone who talks about, doesn't denounce the slogan, globalize the Intifada. What are your thoughts when you think of that?
I do not believe that we are able to predict what's going to happen. I can't sit here and tell you. I can only hope that there will be whatever happens in the election, and it hasn't occurred yet. So everybody should go out and vote. But it is important, to deal with whatever the reality is next Wednesday, whatever it is, and for people to play as constructive a role as possible in making sure that, we don't face the kind of, worries and concerns that have been expressed.
If you had a vote in this city, would you vote for Zohran Mamdani?
You know what? I don't vote in this city. I'm not involved in it. I have not, been at all, even asked to be involved in it, and I have not chosen to be involved in it. I will be there the day after, and everybody else should be too, no matter what happens.
And if you go and find the Mike for PA and Sam Cedar debate back in 2020, when I was like, you know, I want to be able to support Biden. The problem is that he's going to send people in whose main goal is to fight the left. And that's exactly what he did. And it ended with a genocide. These fuckers want to say vote blue no matter who. But they won't even say vote for Zohran. He's the Democratic. All she has to say is, listen, I'm a Democrat. I'm a true blue Democrat. I support Democratic nominee. That's all she has to say. And then move the fuck on. I vote straight Democrat. That's all she has to say. Nah. Vote blue no matter who, unless that who wants to give you anything. I support the candidate the Democratic voters choose. That's all you have to say. People are still talking about her as if she had won, it would have led to some sort of like good outcome in America. I want to tell you something really, really clear, chat. That if she had won, the backlash that would have came, we would have had Donald Trump God King. The Republicans would have had 70 seats in the Senate. It's funny because she's a politician. How are you not prepared to not sound stupid when this question is asked? She's not sounding stupid, Alyssa. I hear what you're saying. She's sending a message to all her supporters. Vote for Cuomo. She's saying it's okay to trash Zohran. She is dividing the party intentionally. It's incoherent if you believe vote blue no matter who. And I think all of us, especially the social liberals, although, you know, you left liberal types, always run back to the Democratic Party.
Next week in this.
I mean, it's just like pathetic shit. It is really pathetic. And that's why I say the Democratic Party isn't really a party, chat. It's not even a party, chat.
City, it does seem like Mamdani.
Beloved San Francisco bodega cat Kit Kat allegedly killed by a Waymo. Oh, that's terrible. Devil's advocate, wouldn't the response to that to you be Cuomo is also blue? No, he's not. He's not the Democratic nominee. He was defeated. He's not the Democrat. He's not running as a Democrat. He's not the Democrat. That's what vote blue means. It means vote for the Democrat. He's not the Democrat. Cuomo is only only ahead by Sliwa by 3 in Staten Island. And Zohran is getting 20% of the Staten Island vote. Bro, this is so beyond over. It's not even funny. Cuomo is barely getting more Republicans than Mamdani is. Cuomo is not winning any ideological category. He's not winning very liberal or progressive. He's not winning liberal. He's not winning moderates. And he's not winning conservatives. What a fucking loser. Holy shit. Incredibly, Cuomo is winning the subsidized public housing rental type. That's insane. That's insane. What that really says to me, like, it's really interesting how declassed it is. Mamdani's winning the Jewish vote. So in this Zenith poll, they have a lot more black voters voting for Cuomo than I saw in another poll. Interesting. God, Mamdani winning fucking Saddam Hussein level numbers with young people. Holy shit. Mike, I finished the plan. What does this mean? Oh, thank you. It's my workout plan. Nice. Thank you very much. Mamdani is getting robbed. I predict Americans are going to start getting a taste of what elections have been. No, there's no chance of that. They're not going to do that. What they might try to steal the elections is in the midterm. All right. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing, chat. I want to keep making fun of the centrist Democrats. Be right back. Gotta pee.
Zohran winning is critical to undermine this tired centrist line. I mean, here's the thing is that I think that's the case with Mamdani. I think that's the case with Plattner. The reason why you're seeing these type of reactions by conservative Democrats is because they are more afraid of the precedent than the actual material implications. Bill Ackman is afraid of the precedent. He's not afraid of what it's going to cost him to be in New York City. Bill Ackman is going to enjoy New York City exactly the same under any administration because he has so much money that he lives literally above the streets. I haven't told this story in a long time, but we're a longtime supporter of this program. And during the 2008 Democratic primary, she had gone to some fundraiser, like a theater group in New York City. And she ended up sitting next to Robert Rubin. And it was during the 2008 primary. And he came in, aside from also saying that, like, John Edwards can't win because he's a populist, which, should have been a little bit telling. John Edwards didn't have other problems at that time, but he ultimately did. But the story she told about Bob Rubin was fascinating because he came in and he was immediately complaining about the traffic in New York City on the way there. And he told her, because they were sitting next to each other, he said that he called the mayor's office, maybe spoke to the deputy mayor complaining about the traffic. And she said, "Where were you?" And he goes, I don't know. Like, he's driving through New York City streets and has no, and let's be clear, New York City is not complicated to know where you are.
It's a grid.
It's a grid. But also, if you're stuck in traffic enough that you call the mayor, and this is the thing, is that guys like Bill Ackman, they don't go through customs when they fly. They don't go through security when they fly. They don't, their entire experience of moving through the world is completely different than 99.9% of the population. So he doesn't, at the end of the day, what happens in New York City doesn't mean diddly to him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's spending 180 days in Florida just to establish that he doesn't have a New York City residence so that he can avoid New York City taxes. So they don't care. What they care about is the precedent. And it is the case that the rest of the country is not New York City, but there's no doubt in my mind that part of the enthusiasm for Plattner is a function of the success of Mamdani in New York City. Indeed. Because you start to sort of broaden your perspective as to what is possible. And what happens in Maine is not the same as what's going to happen in Alabama, but it's a lot closer to Alabama than New York City is.
They just leave the sleeves on their flannels.
Exactly. And so if Plattner wins in Maine, if he defeats Janet Mills and he defeats Susan Collins, now, what's the argument as to why we should have Amy McGrath run in Kentucky? Was that what her name was? Some centrist.
Yeah, the pilot or whatever.
Yeah, but it wasn't so much that she was a pilot. It was that she was also, I think, a finance person.
Right.
What's the argument why we shouldn't have a finance person running in in Iowa? And it becomes a lot harder to make that argument. It's the precedent that they're afraid of.
Do you ever collect trading cards, Sam?
I did, in fact, Matt. Trading cards that are probably, if I still had, would be collector's items. I actually do have. I have a Yaz, and I still have a bunch of my baseball cards. I got to find those.
So this is the.
I'm going to pay off my.
This is the president of the Upper Deck Company, a major.
Okay, Upper Deck did not exist when I was a kid. But okay.
Were your Tops or something?
Tops. Yeah.
Okay. John Masser, and he had this about the economy. Everything speculative is up right now. The stock market, Bitcoin, trading cards, and it's pricing some collectors out. Here's what the data shows. 50% of consumer spending in the U.S. is coming from 10% of the population.
And I would also add to this, 20% is coming from, 80% of the spending is coming from...
Concert tickets, $1,000 for nosebleeds. Luxury goods selling faster than ever. High-end collectibles moving at record prices. Ever collect trading cards, Sam?
I did, in fact, Matt. Trading cards that probably, if I still had, would be collector's items. I actually do have. I have a Yaz, and I still have a bunch of my baseball cards. I got to find those.
So this is the
I'm gonna pay off my.
This is the president of the Upper Deck Company, a major.
Okay, Upper Deck did not exist when I was a kid, but okay.
Were your Tops or something?
Tops. Yeah.
Okay. John Masser, and he had this about the economy. Everything speculative is up right now. The stock market, Bitcoin, trading cards, and it's pricing some collectors out. Here's what the data shows. 50% of consumer spending in the U.S. is coming from 10% of the population.
And I would also add to this. 20% is coming from, 80% of the spending is coming from 20% of the population.
Rich people are carrying the market, not just in cards, but across every category. Concert tickets, $1,000 for nosebleeds. Luxury goods selling faster than ever. High-end collectibles moving at record prices. When boxes of trading cards cost $1,000 or more, you're not buying for fun anymore. You're speculating. You're betting that what you buy today will be worth significantly more tomorrow. And that works until it doesn't. Sports cards have always had speculation built in. You a collector rookie, you know that. But what's happening now is different in scale, and when markets become this speculative, they become fragile. I'm not saying the sky is falling. I'm saying we need to be honest about what's happening. This isn't sustainable growth driven by collectors who love the hobby. This is wealth concentration driving up prices that most people can't participate in. And if that money suddenly moves elsewhere to bet on something else, we will all feel it.
Okay, so I should sell those cards.
Sell now.
Sounds like it's a good time to cash in. Is that the lesson?
Literally is, I think.
Oh, Kentucky leftists. I didn't realize this. Is Amy McGrath running again?
She's running again. Amy McGrath is running again to try to block any hope of a progressive champion in Kentucky. If you give money to Amy McGrath, you are a fucking dope.
I just unsubscribed from McGrath's latest round of campaign text. Same tired old centrist bullshit.
Meanwhile, Graham Klattner saying everyone should have coverage like I got through being a vet on healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, bangs in face. Time to sell gold? I have no idea. Does Sam have any Magic the Gathering cards he'd be willing to? Speculation is big here, too. I don't know. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, she's running again for Senate.
She is?
Yep. According
Who
to
was the guy in the state?
Yeah, I heard the knife prices crashed in Counter-Strike. What happened there? I thought there was like a patch or something. Not knowing Magic is crazy, but he's old as fuck. So I guess that makes sense. I have some Magic cards, but I don't have anything good. I have like Ravnica shit and Return to Ravnica shit. Is that worth anything? I think they reprinted the Shockland, so I don't think those are worth shit. Maybe I have some like Snapcaster mages. Are those worth anything? I should have traded for duels. Snap is not playable? Jesus Christ, how much has the fucking power curve gone? Mafia Jinx has hey Jinx, how you doing? Are you speaking in the third person like a psycho? Are you speaking in the third person like a psycho? How you doing, Jinx? I keep up on MTG metas, and it seems like Mono Blue is still annoying. I mean, of course, stopping a spell. I'm really tired, about to go to bed. Ma'am, it is 9 a.m. You should be waking up for the day. Ma'am, you should be waking up for the day. Mike hates night shift workers. Personally, my favorite colors, my least favorite color is green. Even though green is getting more and more overpowered. The best color is, of course, annoyingly blue, but it's not my favorite. I want a Mardu deck, okay? Get that blue and green shit out of here. Give me the Mardu every day. But I will play blue decks because they're so overpowered. I mean, like, come on, obviously. Counter spells are incredibly overpowered. How can you not play them? I thought you were saying how you hate the color. No, in Magic the Gathering. Okay, let's keep going. The color green's great. Oh, look at this. Vote blue no matter who.
It's been over 120 days since the mayoral primary in New York City, where Zohran Mamdani won by 12 points in the final count for ranked choice voting. It wasn't close. And he also, I believe, won Hakeem Jeffries' own district by...
And it was record turnout. And he got the most votes for anybody in a Democratic primary. So not only did he win by a lot, not only was it a huge landslide, not only did he win, he got more votes and he raised turnout. And what were the Democrats' reaction? I don't want anything to do with that.
Double digits. Chuck Schumer has still refused to endorse Zohran Mamdani. And we can kind of ask questions about why you think that's the case in just a bit. But,
the answer is he's a foreign agent and should be arrested for treason.
It varies between being beholden to pro-Israel donors and also just maybe his own anti-Palestinian racism. I can't decide which one, or anti-Muslim racism, I should say.
In a word, Zionism.
Yeah. I can't decide which one takes precedence here, but he was asked again about whether or not he's going to vote for the Democrat. We were told over and over again, vote blue no matter who. And folks like myself, despite being Bernie supporters, have abided by that. There's this fiction that this is what comes from the left when you have the leader of the Democrats in the Senate refusing to get behind the Democratic nominee here in New York City. Here is this weak so-called leader being asked about this yesterday.
Subject? No, said Jefferson, Mamdani, you're going to vote for him? Look, the bottom line is very simple. I have a good relationship with him, and we're continuing to talk.
Wait, keep going. You can hear Manu Raju, who asked the question, say the election is, voting's already started or something, like the election's in less than a week. Here, play.
The vote is on Tuesday. What are you going to do?
He just walks out. What are you going to do? Look, we don't need Zohran doesn't need these guys' endorsement. Even the lukewarm Hakeem Jeffries one, where he refused to like basically even say his name. I will vote for the Democrat in the race,
even though they disagree on foreign policy.
Right, for
the New York mayor.
For New York mayor.
So, like, by the way, I told you this. This is part of the reason why I didn't want to vote for Kamala Harris. This is why I had the big disagreement with Majority Report, and why I'm happy to have this debate for always and forever. Vote blue. I'm willing to do vote blue no matter who, as long as it's actually reciprocal. And I've lived enough time, and I know enough, and I've lived through it since 2018. Every single time I saw a progressive winning a primary, the centrist Democrats would go to betray them and sabotage them. And now it's happening right there in front of everybody. So if you say vote blue no matter who, and you're on the left, you are a cuck.
How coded is that? But like, I mean, it's just there used to be this talk about how unity shows strength within the Democratic Party, and
that's because they were winning. When they were winning the primary, that was the argument to get your vote. Now that they've lost, you know, they're there to betray you. What are you going to do about it? If you cooperate and then someone betrays you and then you cooperate again, you're to blame. You're to blame. If you get betrayed and you do not respond tit for tat, then you deserve to be betrayed. That's the way of the world. It's called reciprocal morality. If somebody mistreats you, you have to stand up to them. If you let them bully you, you deserve to be bullied. If you refuse to fight back, you deserve to be bullied. That is the way of the world. Fool me once, shame on you. Teach a man to fool me, and I will be fooled for the rest of my life. Exactly. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I can't get fooled again.
The people that are actively fomenting disunity among like at the very top level, because when you see the base, like they're united in cut funding to Israel, raise taxes on the rich. There's like a radicalizing anger that's happening right now within the liberal base, and people like Chuck Schumer are refusing to embrace that because of Zionism, and it's just unbelievable.
Firepuff says, I wouldn't word it that way. Patterns are hard to break and abuse. Nobody deserves to be bullied. It's their responsibility, though. Of course. I'm talking about a political movement. I'm not talking about somebody bullying a kid or a partner. I'm talking about a political movement. If your political movement refuses to stand up when its coalition partner betrays it, then it doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I was
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's fool me once. If fool me, we can't get fooled again. We've got to understand the nature of the regime.
Really stark and obvious. I wish he had come out even harder and be like, no, I don't believe in voting. Electoralism is broken. And just like walked away.
Right. You should be organizing in your community instead.
Yeah. We're in one of the darkest points in democracy's history, I would say, since Jim Crow. And in large part, it's because of the two leaders of the Democratic Party, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. Pramila Jayapal, who led the House Progressive Caucus, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, stepped down after the last election because she thought she needed to take accountability for failure. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer stayed in their positions and are driving us, basically collaborating with fascism when you count the original budget continuation, which is when this stand should have been made personally. So I hope that the Republicans crack on this shutdown stuff, but the fact that Schumer and Jeffries are leading it is not a good sign to me.
No, and let's play 9 here just to buttress your point.
I mean, they can't do anything in the media. They have no juice. They have no energy. They have no charisma. They have no supporters. So even though they're doing the shutdown, it's almost like it's not happening. People aren't even hearing about it. It's barely even a blip. Our country, I think the best way to describe it is we're doing a bungee jump and the bungee cord is visibly fraying. And we just keep doing bungee jumps and the cord hasn't snapped. The cord hasn't snapped yet, but you can see it. You can see it getting thinner. You can see it fraying. And it's like, everybody's like, Mike, why are you talking about the bungee cord snapping? We've been bungeeing for 10 years with the same cord and there's no problem. Can you stop with saying the cord is fraying? Can you just shut up? You're bumming me out, man.
About how this is a collaboration with fascism, the refusal to get behind Zohran in a sign of unity is enabling things like this. Chuck Schumer is endangering his constituents by not showing unity with Zohran Mamdani. Look at what Pritzker is doing with Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Now, they have had a feud. They have not gotten along. But the two of them are standing shoulder to shoulder and basically saying, we are going to stand up against ICE and the fascists trying to terrorize our communities. Now, meanwhile, we have the top two Democrats on the federal level in terms of leadership who are from the city that this upstart, energizing Democratic Socialist is potentially going to lead. We'll see, given the race, what happens. Anyone's guess. But the point is that listen to Tom Homan. And if you had a united Democratic front within the state of New York, this would be a lot harder. But they are setting Zohran up to have to stand alone at the very least, maybe with Hochul, hopefully with Hochul, I think so, but not with Schumer and Jeffries, apparently.
And whose side are they on?
Seems like maybe more Homan's here.
Mr. Homan, Zohran Mamdani, the likely next mayor of New York City, has promised not to cooperate with you or with ICE or with deportations of any kind. Do you have a plan? Is there a plan to work around that? How are you going to handle that?
Good luck on that, because we're going to be in New York City, and President Trump said it 2 weeks ago. We're going to double down, triple down in sanctuary cities. Why? Not because they're a blue city or a blue state, because we know that's where the problem is. We know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats to the streets every day because they don't honor our detainers. We know that. We don't have that problem like in Florida, where every sheriff in the state's working with us. So where we're going to send our assets, we're going to send them where the problem is. Sanctuary cities. So I've said it before, we'll flood the zone of sanctuary cities. If they don't let us arrest a bad guy in the county jail, they're going to arrest him in the community. We're going to arrest him at a work site. So we're going to increase community operation. We're going to increase work site enforcement operation. We're going to get the bad guys. So if they don't want to help, get out of the way. We're coming to do it.
You know who's gotten out of the way? Preemptively? Chuck Schumer.
Has to be said about sanctuary city laws.
The thing that you have to keep in mind about this is the Democrats support it. You really need to understand that. The Democrats support it. They support it because they don't understand politics at all. And the donors are telling them to do it. And when you're like, they don't understand politics, it's not that this is hard to figure out. It's that what they are paid to understand is the will of the donor class. And they're very good at going along with the will of the donor class. They probably, I'm sure if I sat down with Chuck Schumer and we were in a private room and we had a private conversation, he would be very well aware of where the Democratic Party base actually is on these issues. I don't think he would be fooled by some third way presentation. I think he legitimately would know. And he's like, he's doing what he's doing because that's where the money is.
For people who don't understand that, two things. They are, uncontroversially good for public safety. Anybody who doesn't agree with that is a moron. There's a reason things like places like the NYPD and stuff go along with it. It's not because they're bleeding hearts. It's because having communities be able to report crimes or like violations or safety hazards, public safety hazards, is a good thing. And they're an example, and B, they're an example of sane policy regarding non-citizens. That is why they're being attacked, because the Trump administration cannot tolerate sane policy about how which is to say, contrasting with this Gestapo stormtrooper freakout that we're seeing across the country right now, where even people who do have documentation or are born in this country get arrested in front of their kids because they can't remember their social security number off the top of their fucking head.
The online trash bag, don't let Cory Booker off the hook either. New Jersey Democrats should be standing behind Zohran across the board, but especially in the neighboring state that benefits greatly from proximity to the largest city in the country.
He's busy standing with Africa.
Yeah.
As a guy
but you know what's
who is focusing so much of my effort on ending human suffering on the planet Earth.
It's also going to be super frustrating, like, because once he does win, and just like they did with Bernie, they start adopting a lot of his rhetoric.
Was there a Plattner interview recently? That was 2 months ago. I don't want old shit. I think we watched that at the time.
Because it's so overwhelmingly.
Do you agree that with Sean McCarthy's take that Mamdani refusing to fire Tish could represent a threat to his safety? Of course.
They start like adopting Zohran rhetoric and, you know, mannerisms and fundraising off of his profile, but like never fully like ever reckoning with the fact that they do not support him at all. Same with like AOC, like just never reckoning with the fact that like just don't really actively want her or Bernie around, but because they're so viable politically, they can't help but grift off their names.
Yeah, well, I think what's interesting is that AOC was featured in that Prop 50 ad in California to get out the word about Prop 50, not Kamala. Like they had Obama, they've Newsom, they had Padilla and other like prominent California Democrats, but no Kamala. But they included AOC because she has been a fundraising juggernaut for them. That's literally all it is, and like is basically the only Democrat outside of Bernie Sanders on the national level right now who can fundraise like small dollars in that way. It's the same reason that Marjorie Taylor Greene can't fully be excommunicated from the Republican Party, because like she raises a lot of small dollar donations. Although she's very much more in keeping with what the leadership wants. But go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that was it.
I'm just surprised you guys aren't focused on ending human suffering all around the world.
All around the world.
And dear God,
I'm trying.
If you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me.
I am trying every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 p.m. Eastern on the Discord with Brand.
Well done.
YouTube channel.
I gotta
I'm learning from
in
Candace.
like 5 minutes because I am doing the I've had it podcast.
Oh my lord, Jake interview Plattner. Okay, happy Halloween, chat. Happy Halloween.
And I'm really excited to do that.
The debate with me opposing progressives, is this my YouTube reaction?
They want to lose, want to get rid of progressives, and frankly, like concerned that if Joe Biden wins, it's not just that we might have a short-term harm reduction defeating Trump, but a long-term defeat of progressivism within the Democratic Party. I'm having a hard time struggling with the despair of that.
That's by the way, that was their intent. But of course, and this is a lesson to be learned, and we can listen to that some other time, but these ideas are not going to be put down by one military defeat, one suppression, one electoral defeat. The idea that all of humanity deserves to live in a dignified life, have housing, health care, all that shit is not going to be put down. It's not going to be put down because of one electoral defeat. Even if America falls to fascism, it will only be temporary.
New York City is about to pick a new mayor. Now, that's always a big deal. But it is bigger this time, though, because of all of the issues front and center in our national politics. And bigger this time because of this possibility. Imagine if the city that launched Donald Trump picks a mayor very, very different. An immigrant, a socialist, a Muslim, someone who says Trump is just wrong on just about everything.
We will not flinch. We will triumph over the oligarchs.
The president insults Mamdani any chance he gets, and he is warning New York City voters that a Mamdani win could cost the city billions in federal aid.
The Mamdani thing is it's a disaster waiting to happen.
But let's not put the cart or the carriage in front of the horse. Early voting is underway. The election is Tuesday. Also on the ballot, Independent Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Cuomo, you probably remember, resigned as governor. He's running as an independent for mayor now because he lost to Mamdani.
Tyler Vandenberg on your radar for California's 3rd rep seat. He's my personal friend. I've been trying to push him toward considering a Twitch interview. I'll be having a call with him soon if you have any advice. Should message my mods. If you guys know people that are running for Congress who you think might be worthwhile for me to look into, you should message some of the mods on Discord.
In the Democratic primary.
There's no reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives.
Sliwa is a familiar face here in New York, known for his signature red beret. 45 years ago, he founded the community anti-crime group, the Guardian Angels.
Cuomo, the architect of no cash bail. Zohran, the apprentice of no cash bail.
But Mamdani, currently a state assemblyman representing a slice of Queens, is the clear frontrunner. Yes, New York is an overwhelmingly Democratic city, but its politics are complicated and fascinating. Nearly 9 million people spread across 5 distinct boroughs. This is Brooklyn. It tends to lean left and be a little bit younger. Mamdani won big in Brooklyn in the primary and needs another strong showing here in the general election. Then there's Queens. It's the most diverse of the boroughs, which means its politics are complicated.
Yeah, I
Cuomo
did hear
was born there.
Corey's running
Mamdani
a
lives
rematch.
there now. Manhattan is the most educated of the boroughs and the most affluent.
Yeah.
The Bronx
Not
is the
Gloria, sounds
poorest,
good.
majority Latino. Cuomo won the Bronx in the primary and needs another strong blue-collar boost there if he is to have any chance in the general election. And finally, Staten Island, the smallest of
He's
the
not winning shit.
boroughs, majority white and a Donald Trump stronghold. This wrinkle in the race is simply delicious. I've been at this a long time. The name Cuomo, well, that's essentially a curse word among New York Republicans, and yet he cannot win, most likely cannot win, unless a lot of those Republicans, a lot of Trump voters, hold their noses and pick Cuomo.
They aren't.
Because the stakes are so high, we decided to visit all 5 boroughs in the campaign's final days. We found Mamdani supporters energized, excited, organized. They want a fresh face and new ideas. But everywhere we visited, we also found some doubts. Is he too young? Is he too liberal? Is he too inexperienced?
I think the change is largely a willingness to speak truth to power.
What's going to happen to crime again under this guy?
All of my friends are for Zohran, pretty much.
At the end of the end, you want experience, you know? You need experience, and that will come.
Mamdani won a surprise victory in the primary by stressing affordability issues. If elected, he promises to freeze rents, to open city-run grocery stores, and to make the buses free. Cuomo says the legislature will never pass the taxes Mamdani needs to pay for all that. Another flashpoint, Mamdani is fiercely critical of Israel, especially its military campaign in Gaza. Cuomo calls him soft on Hamas.
I have denounced Hamas again and again, and it will never be enough for Andrew Cuomo.
Even before the votes are counted, some big debates about what comes next, some of them in public and some of them private. A Mamdani win would bring him global attention, and that makes some Democrats nervous. They worry Trump and Republicans might be successful in painting the entire party as socialist, heading into next year's critical midterm elections. A showdown with Trump seems inevitable. This is Mamdani's neighborhood in Queens. It is a beacon of diversity. But that diversity also has a flip side. America's largest city also has its largest population of the undocumented. A likely flashpoint with Donald Trump if the city that made Trump famous now picks as its mayor a young.
Cuomo has never once articulated a case for voting for him. The case is the billionaires want me. That's his case. The rich want me in control. That's his case. All right, chat. We have ourselves Zohran.
This is Griffin from
on Breaking Points. We're doing Zohran. This is Zohran the stream. I'm sorry, chat, but what do you want me to do? It's the week before. It's the weekend before Zohran's election. Of course, we're doing Zohran cover. We're just watching every fucking interview. Is it worth for me to attempt to compete with Talrico? I live where he's running, or do I ignore the candidate and volunteer further south with Greg Cesar? You want to run for Senate? If you want my feeling, it's like I feel like if I might be able to run for Congress, maybe if Hassan got behind me doing it. That's how I feel about running for office right now, and like actually winning. Running for Senate? Nah. I would at least have a decent campaign if that happened. Quan, I mean, I listen. If Caroline just called me on the phone tomorrow and was like, Mike, I'm in, she would be in Congress next year. Or, you know, not next year, but she would win next year and go in the next year. I'm just saying. The Congress would happen. Mike, you're supposed to charge consulting fees and delude them to run for Senate. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not a sociopath. She has to want to do it, though. I know. The Oppo research on Caroline will be Will dancing in the Wolverine costume. That's not Oppo. That would be like promo. Oppo would be she's been seen with the streamer Hassan Piker. That would not affect anything in a primary. It's not affecting anything. No one would give a shit. Have I talked about Ireland's next president? Just a little bit the other day. I did watch some coverage of her winning. But if you have any like Irish political stuff, like coverage that's talking about it, I'd be interested in watching it. Caroline is very worried about what shit they would dig up on her to discredit her. I understand, because that's why I would never run. So fucking what? Who cares? Who gives a shit? In your opinion, do people who have to keep their full-time job to run for office not really have a chance? I would love to run, but I need to work to eat as well. Generally, as long as you're willing to work 16-hour days, you could probably do it. Women are judged a lot more harshly these days. Listen, you guys are totally right about that. But unless there's some shit that I don't know that's super duper bad, in the age of Trump, Caroline would be absolutely fine. They're going to unveil she had a Harry Potter tattoo. Oh my God! Yo, I could see Caroline having like House Slytherin on her back. I can see that. A gigantic House Slytherin on her back. Like she's the most Slytherin coded. Guys, if Caroline ran, she'd be on Vogue's cover within like 4 months. Caroline Kwan? The video game playing streamer? That's the one. Was she really considering a run? Yes, she is. And she really likes hearing about it. I really am going to like make her hate my guts. But if she ran for Congress, it would be worth it.
Breaking points, and I'm here 7 minutes with Zohran Mamdani.
How's it going?
How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. It's a great shirt, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. I had to buy
it. Is it House Slytherin the racist one? No. Like, not all racists are Slytherin. Not all Slytherin are racist, but all the racists are Slytherin. No, that's not true. There's like other ones. It has come out. Congresswoman Caroline Kwan has a Death Eater mark tattoo.
The airline lost my luggage on the way here.
God, well, we're not giving them a shout out.
This is for you, the shirt. I wanted to start with a picture. We interviewed you a year ago. It's been a long time since then, man.
Yes.
A lot's changed. What advice do you have for that young Zohran a year ago?
What date was that?
It says 11 months ago, and we used to get like 30K views on the first one. Now we're racking them up.
Now it's up there. You know, the reason I ask about the date is because about a year ago, we went out to Fordham Road and Hillside Avenue, spoke to New Yorkers, many of whom had voted for Trump, and we asked them why.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the advice that I would give...
I watched that video on stream at the time, chat, by the way. You joke, but that's literally the equivalent of the Totenkopf. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Not to get all leftist purity test, but how would you describe her ideological tendency, at least comparison to her own? I think that Caroline is... she's like a based AOC, if that makes sense, where it's like she agrees with like the Green New Deal and all that other shit, but she's also incredibly based on like Palestine, and she's not like pussyfooting around on Palestine or anything. She has really good politics overall. She would be the best person in Congress, honestly. Rumor has it she has a 4th international sticker on her trunk. So true.
That, Zohran, I would continue to give myself every day is listen to New Yorkers. And a lot of times the political impulse is lecture. Tell New Yorkers what they should care about. What we found is that the best campaign you can build is one that actually reflects what New Yorkers are concerned about. It's cost of living again and again. The other thing I would say is maybe bench press a little bit more, but it's too late for that.
All right, we're going to cut the push-up contest.
Yes.
All right, so you recently released a video about being Muslim in New York City and the experience of that. Typically, when you've been asked about identity issues, you've pivoted back to your core campaign promises about affordability. Why do that video now? And do you feel like Democrat politicians have your back in this environment where, you know, in my personal opinion, the Cuomo opposition and the Cuomo supporters are hitting you with a lot of what I would say is George W. Bush era racist attacks? Do you feel like they have your back?
You know, I've appreciated the words of support that I've received from a number of leaders within our party, especially here in New York City. I do think, however, that of many of the Muslim New Yorkers who do not have the luxury of being the Democratic nominee for mayor, who deal with these indignities every single day. And the fact is that this racism is so endemic in our city's politics that when one hears it, one does not know if it's from a Republican or a Democrat. And it's, you know, people have asked me, why did I call it Islamophobia? And I just tell them what Andrew Cuomo said, because the evidence is right there. This is a man who went on a radio show, and when the host said that I would cheer another 9/11, Andrew Cuomo laughed and agreed. He later went that same day to accept Eric Adams' endorsement. Adams said that he was endorsing him to stop a movement of violent extremists, to stop New York City from becoming Europe, to stop a movement that was burning churches in Nigeria. This is the kind of Islamophobia that is the closing message of these other candidates. And the reason I decided to say something about it is because this level of bigotry, it's one that should still shock the conscience, despite how unsurprising it.
People think it's okay to be bigoted. I mean, like, for example, Asmongold said that you should be able to genocide Palestinians because they have an inferior culture. And a lot of the reasons why that happens is because I think there's a lot of white people actually are concerned about losing relative power to other cultures and other societies. And so denigrating them, demonizing them, justifying their oppression is necessary because of that insecurity and fear.
It may be in this moment.
So freeze the rent. Let's talk about some of the core stuff. So we've been hearing talk that Eric Adams is trying to pack the rental board with people on your way out. Like a reality TV real estate guy is getting on there.
Yeah, I think she stars in a show called Selling New York, which is very on the nose for Eric Adams' bio.
What are you going to do about that if you're mayor? And also, how are you going to stop landlords from, cutting back on cleaning or safety in the buildings if you freeze the rent?
I think there's a few things. The first is the Community Service Society, which does incredible studies. They found that actually the rent that's being paid doesn't have a significant relationship with the repairs that landlords are doing. Oftentimes, and I've heard this actually from a number of tenants myself, of that they've been paying their rent year after year, and a lot of their landlords are actually denying them the repairs that they're owed. And so I think when we freeze the rent, we are doing so to provide relief to more than 2 million rent stabilized tenants across the 5 boroughs. We're not doing it actually to punish landlords, because we're actually trying to also make it easier for those landlords to maintain those properties by helping them take on the rising costs of insurance or the water bill or Con Edison. These are things we can do in tandem with our commitment to freeze the rent. And look, Eric Adams' attempt to stack the rent guidelines board is unacceptable. It's a betrayal of New Yorkers. It's also a continuation of this politics for the last 4 years. And I continue to be confident in our ability to deliver that rent freeze.
As a renter in New York, I feel betrayed by that. By the Eric Adams thing, not what you just said. I want to talk about ICE. We're seeing all these ICE videos of goons, unmasked people, taking people off the streets. Are you going to instruct the NYPD to arrest ICE or other federal agents that break the law in the city?
Look, anybody who breaks the law in this city has to be held to account, whether that's ICE or whomever else. And I think that should be just the standard that we have in this city and in this country. And what we found is that ICE is a reckless entity. It cares little about the law. It cares even less about the people that it's supposed to serve. And so much of its purpose is to intimidate and terrorize people across this country. And we saw that with the recent raid on Canal Street. Yeah. It's not just about the people that they threw against the wall. It's about the message they're trying to send to New Yorkers, that they can do this kind of a thing. And it's possible for them in this moment because they have a mayor who went on national TV to open the door to civil immigration enforcement.
All right, I want to talk flagrant. You, in the first couple minutes of flagrant, you got Schultz to say that housing is a human right. That's awesome. You clearly passed the vibe check. Do other Democrats pass the vibe check? What's your advice for them going on these shows?
I think it's funny. I've been running for mayor for now more than a year, and that's probably the first podcast that a lot of my own friends actually listened to that I did. And I think it speaks to the fact that you have to treat New Yorkers, especially young New Yorkers, with legitimacy, as well as the places where they actually get their news. Mm-hmm. And so often there's a condescension in our political approach to anything that goes beyond traditional media. Mm-hmm. And I think it's time to bring that to an end. My advice to anyone going on those shows is just to be yourself, because if you're not, they will definitely get to the bottom of that pretty quick.
Okay, I got one more question for you, and then I want to hear about the proposals and how people can help you.
Sounds good.
So we talked about the NYPD. We're going to, and your team's telling you to wrap up, so we'll keep this quick.
Yeah.
Are you going to arrest Netanyahu, especially with this NYPD commissioner?
Look, I've said time and again that I believe that New York City is a city that believes international law, should have an actual embodiment of that international law. Benjamin Netanyahu has been issued an arrest warrant by the International Criminal Court, and I believe that is something that we should seek to honor. I've also said that I will exhaust every legal possibility to do so. If there is not a law, I'm not going to create one because I'm not Donald Trump, but this is what I would actually be looking to do.
So last question, this is
it's pretty obvious to me that you could just arrest him under the theory of universal jurisdiction, turn him over to the put him on a plane, bundle him up to The Hague.
Few days, 6 days, 5 days? What can people do to help you in this time? We have a national audience, so what can our national audience do to help you at this moment? And let's roll through we're freezing the rent, universal child care.
We're going to freeze the rent, going to make buses fast and free, deliver universal child care. And the way that you can get involved is go to zohranfornyc.com/GOTV. If you live in New York City, you can sign up for a canvassing shift. If you don't, you can sign up for phone banking. Because the reason I'm sitting in front of you, it's not just the 1.6 million doors that volunteers knocked on in the primary, it's the 2.1 million phone calls that they also made. And that can be done from anywhere across this country.
Zohran, good luck.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below.
Pretty exciting stuff, man. I don't know. I want to say it was back 4 years ago when learned who Zohran was. You guys remember? Do you remember how we first learned who Zohran was? There was a video on housing from the Gravel Institute that I used to watch all the time. And he was there. That was his video. Do you think Zohran cracks 1 million votes? I'm thinking it's looking likely. Let's take a look at the turnout. 2021 New York City mayoral election result. Oh, definitely. Definitely. This country is cooked. I just listened to a janitor outside my office spent 20 minutes going about all the undeserving dirtbags are finally getting kicked off food stamp. It's like, my guy, you qualify. I mean, I don't know if your janitor qualify. One of the things that happens in America, like one of the like weird, there's a Steinbeck quote. John Steinbeck once said that socialism never took root in America because the poor see themselves not as exploited proletariat, but as temporarily embarrassed millionaires. And that is such a common trait. There are so many. Can we talk about the TikTok food stamps shit? Did Hassan make a video on that? Because I feel like that would be, I don't know if you guys have been seeing, but racists have been making fake AI videos.
It is literally community building. It's a formative part of community building. It's a formative part of how I want to build this community. Okay?
There is a fan channel upload. Okay, yes, this is what I want. Okay. And there's a lot of people that believe what are called right-wing folktales. I've actually talked about right-wing folktales before, but I want to get into it more, which is when I was knocking doors a lot, and you would come across somebody who was conservative, and you had a conversation about political, you know, like welfare or whatever. They just have these ideas they made up. People sign up for welfare in more than one state, and they just drive around between the states collecting their welfare. And I'm like, how do you know that? It's like, I know a guy who does that. I said, what's his name? What's his fucking name? I want to report this fraud immediately. What's his name? Well, I don't know him, but my cousin knows him. They just have these like right-wing folktale bullshit things that don't exist, but they believe. And one of them is, and this is a poor white racist belief, is that black people, for example, could go to college for free. They believe black people get free phones. They call them Obama phones. Like this is the kind of like shit you'll hear. As I said, right-wing folktales, just made up stories that justify antipathy toward government programs because any program they get, they earned. But any program that is, you know, they presume to be going to black people, they don't get. And that is the main way, that racial tension, those racial folktales. And that's what this AI shit is. This AI is just racist babble that they've now been able to animate.
That guy literally thought that was real. Oh my God. It says Sora right there, bro. Oh my God. We're so fucking cooked. Oh my God. This is what our family are watching on Facebook, is people that already had this opinion. They already had this bias. They already had encountered this racist stereotype. And now you got a metric ton of propaganda that looks real. And especially if you're already fucking biased in that direction, you're going to be like, oh, see? You see? You're not going to second guess it because it agrees with you.
Fuck it, I'm saying it, dude.
All right. The last thing I want to show you about the Snap stuff is that contrary, I mean, this is the most expected story of the day.
Schumer doesn't say if he will vote for Mamdani.
Look, the bottom line is very simple. I have a good relationship with him, and we're continuing to talk.
Well, the vote is on Tuesday. What are you going to do? Mamdani, are you going to vote for him?
I never, ever want to hear vote blue no matter who. I never want to hear you should have voted for Hillary or you should have voted for Kamala ever again. I don't want to hear that nonsense ever again. They know it. We know. And it's a shame because you have destroyed the Democratic Party. And instead of gracefully passing baton to a different group of ideas, they are trying to sabotage those ideas, even in the face of fascism. They know that Andrew Cuomo is taking money from Trumpian billionaires. They know Donald Trump supports Andrew Cuomo. They know that. And yet they refuse to stand with the guy who's actually against Donald Trump. Even on, if only the only thing you care about is defeating Trump, you have to defeat Chuck Schumer too. You have to defeat Chuck Schumer too.
Republicans have decided to take advantage of Sora, artificial intelligence AI, to make these Snap recipients, angry Snap recipient videos.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I get over $2,500 a month in stamps. I sell them $2,000 worth for about $1,200 to $1,500 cash. That's,
by the way, chat, that is a fraud, and you go to prison for that.
that's why everybody's upset. Folks say we're taking advantage, but that's how we get by.
And that's the frustration we're hearing out here in downtown Atlanta.
The Sora AI logo can be seen appearing in the upper left corner of the video. Additionally, the car behind the speakers is not a real car in production by any known company. The video's AI generated 15,000 likes. Title is, Lady gets $2,500 a month, Snap food stamps, and she sells all of them for $1,200 a month. What an absolute scam. It took longer than I expected. I mean, this is the primary function of AI, right? Because conservatives love making up an alternative reality. And because there's no like real life examples they can point to, now they have a tool where they can basically make it up and then get angry at the thing that they made up. What a perfect tool for conservative mania.
5 days. It is the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of my...
By the way, taxpayer is a propaganda term. It's a propaganda term that was made up. I'm pretty sure it was made up in the 80s for anti-government propaganda. Because it used to be government programs. Now they say, oh, taxpayer money. That's a right-wing propaganda term. There is no taxpayer money. Taxes go into a fucking shredder. When you pay your taxes to the IRS, all that happens is the money is taken out of your account and it's deleted. It doesn't go into an account that the government then spends out of. Money is created when the government spends it into existence, and it's destroyed when it comes back to the federal government in taxes. Many people don't know this, but that's how it works. Now, at the state and local level, they do have to have accounts, and they do have a requirement to have balanced budgets. But in the federal government, that's not how it works. It just goes, it gets deleted. I mean, there's, God, I probably even have like, do I have any bookmarks on? I might even have like this stuff explained. One Dime has a really good video on this. Please link it to me. Also, the linguistic framing of taxes as a burden is a false one that was created around the same time. It's part of how conservatives have gained so much support for their objectively worst policy. Yes. It's why they say this shit, because it's all tested. It's like, it used to be called the estate tax. And when somebody says, do you support the estate tax? People are like, yeah, I support the estate tax. But then you go, do you support the death tax? People are like, no, you shouldn't be taxed because you die. Well, it's the same fucking thing. It's just propaganda.
Kids! Hell, they cutting off EBT since the shutdown! I can't use EBT in November! I got 7 kids with 7 daddies! Who's supposed to feed them? Them men ain't paying for nothing! They cut my food stamps to $85 from $738. That's supposed to support a household of 3.
You know, I didn't really notice all the issues with the EBT stuff because I've been too busy working. Like every time I go to the grocery store, my card cleared. My debit card, credit card, doesn't matter what card I use. I work 7 days a week and I've just never even really cared. This is why people don't care about EBT going away. They don't care about it.
I think people need to understand what's going on here. If you are a right-wing creator on this app, your algorithm for the last 2, maybe 2.5 weeks has been nothing but these videos of supposed SNAP recipients freaking out about losing their...
If you work 7 days a week, you're getting fucked. You're getting absolutely fucked.
Upping the top tax bracket.
Taxing billionaires.
Tax the rich. Tax the rich. Tax the rich.
Over the past decade, the notion of taxing the rich has become a very popular policy narrative championed by progressive center-left politicians.
By the way, can I just say this? I don't want to tax the rich to fund shit. I want to tax the rich to take away their money so they have less power in society. I'm not saying we have to tax the rich in order to fund anything. I'm saying tax the rich to reduce their power. That's what I'm saying. Also, taxing is there to regulate inflation. Because if you don't tax the rich, then they still have their money and they could spend it. And then they're competing for resources against the government and against the rest of us. So by taxing the rich, you reduce the amount of the economy's production they get to consume.
Taxing
both sides issue. Why are the Democrats to blame?
Well, Democrats are using a short-term spending bill to push long-term policy changes that don't belong there. They've said it outright. They will not vote to reopen the government unless their healthcare demands are met. What they're demanding is an extension of temporary COVID-era spending that artificially lowered healthcare costs under the Affordable Care Act. Those measures were not part of the ACA itself. They were emergency subsidies created under the American Rescue Plan Act and later extended through 2025 by the Inflation Reduction Act. When that spending expires, the ACA simply returns to its original pricing framework.
By the way, chat, okay, so let's get into this for a second. This guy is a dumb piece of shit. This is also true of a lot of tax cuts. If we do nothing, a lot of the tax cuts are just going to expire, except Donald Trump just passed this massive spending bill in order to make tax cuts for the rich permanent and tax cuts for regular people temporary. Now, this is how the government always works to stay within the... I don't want to get into the reconciliation window and shit, but basically, government doesn't work because the Senate has the filibuster. The Democrats are perfectly... By the way, if those things expire... premiums are going to explode and healthcare will be completely unaffordable for everybody. Period. So you're talking about tens of millions of people losing their health insurance. That's why the Democrats are against it. Now, are you in favor of that?
Spike, not a crisis, just a return to baseline after years of inflated relief funding.
A return to baseline. This will mean that for some people, they will see their insurance premiums go up $20,000 a year.
Yes, people will feel it. Premiums will adjust. But that's not because Republicans raised prices. It's because Democrats are refusing to admit that these subsidies were temporary. They're using the fear of higher costs, a perception they created, to justify holding the government hostage. And because Republicans are in full power, this is great leverage to make it look like it's their fault. Now, here's where...
It absolutely is their fault. It absolutely is their fault. Also, if this program goes into place, God, he's stupid. This is why conservatives are often... This is what bright conservatives do, right? Which is they try to do this kind of blindness to consequence. This is, if you read a lot of conservative jurisprudence, they have blindness to consequence. They'll say, well, this is just following what the law says, and whatever the consequences are, I can't look at that. But the consequences are always end up being pro-corporate and pro-rich. They don't look at those consequences, and it's manifestly unjust, but pro-corporate and pro-rich, they'll be like, you're not allowed to look at consequences when you decide if something is good or not. That is conservative jurisprudence and thought in a nutshell. Now, what this guy is saying is, for the Americans have had this level of government funding for health insurance in order to make it affordable, right? And he's saying we're going to massively cut back that funding. We're going to massively cut back that funding. Now, there's going to be a consequence of massively cutting back that funding. He wants you to think that that's not changing the status quo. That's just returning to a baseline. What is that baseline? A baseline we've never experienced. So that is massive change. For what purpose? Making everybody else worse off to justify tax cuts for the rich. That is conservatives in a nutshell, okay? They want to cut funding to the ACA and cause you not to be able to afford health insurance so that they can fund tax cuts for the rich. That's it.
It's even more reckless. They're not just trying to extend the pandemic subsidies, they're also trying to reopen and revise parts of the One Big Beautiful Bill, a massive spending law that's already been passed and signed into law earlier this year. The One Big Beautiful Bill reshaped portions of Medicaid and other federal programs, and Democrats now want to undo...
Reshaped means cuts, means hundreds of billions of dollars of cuts in Medicare and Medicaid, health insurance for old people and poor people, so they can cut taxes for the rich. This guy is a fucking dope.
Sections of it by tying their changes to the current funding debate. Instead of debating revisions through normal legislative order, they're trying to squeeze them into the continuing resolution, which is a short-term bill that's supposed to do one thing, keep basic government operations. And that
the reason why they have to do this is because Republicans are unable to pass a budget. They don't have enough votes. So if you want the Democrats to vote along with you, then the Democrats get to extract concessions. Too fucking bad, bitch.
It's the abuse here. A continuing resolution isn't a policy-making tool per se. It's a bridge.
All we're doing is running the government off CRs, you dumb fuck. If all you do is run the government off CRs, then that becomes the budgeting tool. And the budget is the most fundamental core part of politics. This guy is a charlatan. This guy is a solipsist. This guy is a just total disgusting, dishonest rat. Ugh. Ugh.
A stopgap to prevent a shutdown while Congress negotiates the full budget, using it to rewrite sections of existing law, whether that's the pandemic relief measures or the One Big Beautiful Bill, is procedural malpractice. Again, not the right place, not the right time.
Did I call him I mean, I meant he is a solipsist, but he's also a sophist. This is all just spinning narratives and obscuring what the consequences are. Notice that he doesn't say like what the consequences of those policies will be for your life, how things will change for you. That's how he confuses you. That's how he tricks you, because he thinks you're too stupid to think about that.
The Democrats are desperate. They are held captive by the socialist wing of their party, the Democratic Socialists of America. And they know the only thing they have to appease that base is empty rhetoric about Trump, MAGA, and the Republicans. So it's not really about healthcare, in my view. It's about control, about rewriting existing law through the wrong channel and using a temporary funding bill to do it. And as more people understand that, it'll be hard to unsee the man behind the curtain.
I almost want the conservatives to get their consequences. Like, I almost want them to be able to do this just so, although the only reason I'm against it is because I don't want manifest human suffering, right? Like, let's take a look at the consequences that he thinks are good.
As the government shutdown extends into its 29th day, Americans who depend on coverage through the Affordable Care Act are getting their first look at the health care sticker shock. Access to the new ACA premiums were released on Tuesday. According to the health policy group KFF, the average cost is jumping 26%. And without the government subsidies, the out-of-pocket costs will go up even more. For tonight's interview, we are joined now by Larry Levitt, KFF's Executive Vice President for Health Policy. Mr. Levitt, thanks for joining us. So let's start with this. How much more could people have to pay if these credits are not extended?
Yeah, so if these enhanced tax credits are not extended, ACA enrollees will see their premiums increase by an average of 114%. So for viewers who haven't been in math class in a while, that means premiums are going to more than double in terms of what people pay. And that'll be an increase of over $1,000 a year on average.
Why are insurers charging so much more for health care this year? Is this the norm? Is this out of the norm?
So the amount that insurers are charging is outside of the norm. It's higher than it's been in recent years. As you said, the average increase in what insurers are charging is 26%, and that's been the biggest increase in recent years. So it's a number of factors. One is just the cost of healthcare is going up. The hospital prices are going up, like the prices of so many things. GLP-1 drugs for weight loss, many more people are using them. That's increasing costs. New drugs are coming on the market. So that's kind of increasing healthcare costs across the board. But there's one thing in particular that's happening in the Affordable Care Act marketplace, which is if these enhanced tax credits expire, millions of people are expected to drop their coverage. And most likely the people who drop their coverage will be people who are healthier than average. So that will leave a sicker pool of people for insurers to cover, and that's driving premiums up.
That's kind of a worst case scenario. What if the tax credits are extended? Will things still change?
So if the tax credits are extended, what people will pay out of their own pockets will stay largely the same. The premiums are based on your income. So the lower your income, the less you pay. The higher your income, the more you pay. And if those enhanced tax credits are extended, that will remain in place. Now, of course, that will cost the government more, over $30 billion more per year, but it'll save people a lot. And as I said, if those enhanced tax credits are not extended, people's premiums will end up doubling on average.
How many people are we talking about?
Doubling.
If the costs go up, if they get higher, how many people across the country?
So 24 million people across the country who get their insurance through these ACA marketplaces. These are people who are not covered by Medicare, not covered by Medicaid, don't have insurance through their employer. 22 million of those 24 million get these tax credits that help them pay their premiums. So 22 million people would be hit with these out-of-pocket premium increases. You know, it's a minority of the public, but it's people who are particularly vulnerable. These are many of them are small business owners or work for small businesses. That's about half of them. Small businesses typically don't provide health benefits to their workers. It's also, you know, gig workers, Uber drivers, DoorDash deliverers, farmers and ranchers rely on this coverage in particular because they're not working for an employer.
Could people end up losing all of their health care as a result of all of this?
They certainly could. I mean, the Congressional Budget Office, which is kind of the budget referee in Congress, estimates that nearly 4 million people would end up uninsured if these enhanced tax credits aren't extended. So those are people who will have no health insurance whatsoever. They may be healthier than average, but things happen to them. They get sick, they get in an accident, they end up in the emergency room, and that will have ripple effects throughout the healthcare system.
Okay, real quick here. One more thing here, sir. Why would healthier people just drop out of that marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're sick and you know you have substantial medical bills, you're going to find a way to pay that premium. You know, you'll cut back on other things, you'll put bills on your credit card, you'll dip into savings, you'll figure out a way to keep that health insurance. If you're currently healthy, you're more likely to roll the dice. You know, you're going to make sure you pay your rent, your food bills, your utility bills, and health insurance may be kind of lower on your priority list.
Especially if you're younger. All right, Larry Levitt from KFF. Thank you so much for the insight.
So, Healthy Gamer GG? What the fuck is this? Cuomo's closing message. Defend NYC, a pro-Cuomo super PAC operated by Trump advisor Jason Meester is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on sending out this text message to New York City voters, hoping it'll convince them to vote Cuomo for mayor. Cuomo murdered my husband and I'm voting for him. That's how bad things are in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, themperors and solipsism. I said there's sophistry and there's solipsism. Those are two different things. That guy's both. What a wormy little rat. One thing I'll say, one of the things I say about conservatives is there are two types of conservatives, chat. There are stupid, ignorant assholes.
Not a both sides issue.
But there are evil pieces of shit. This guy is an evil piece of shit and a knowing liar.
Then how does it spend? Let's say you get a social security, then how it subsequently uses. So if the government doesn't actually get anything when it taxes, then how does it spend? Let's say you get a social security check or a COVID relief payment. How did they pay for it? The Treasury gets a central bank. What pays for? They need the money of billionaires to pay for these policies. If you watched my previous video on the deficit myth, then you would know that taxes do not actually pay for government spending at the federal level. Taxpayer money is not what pays for the trillion-dollar wars, military spending, stimulus packages, or really anything that the federal government does. Even though it is quite easy to bust the myth once you look a little deep into it, the vast majority of people still think that the government funds their policies via taxation or borrowing money from the rich through government bonds. And this is false. To avoid repeating myself, I highly recommend watching my deficit myth video if you haven't already. And if you are still not convinced, check the sources in the description, as well as these two books on the screen, which are short reads and illustrate the exact technicals of government spending. Contrary to popular belief, the government spends first and taxes second. The federal taxes are...
Which of course that's how it works. Where do you think you get dollars from? Dollars come from the government. It's so obvious when you look at them. It's like, oh, right. I have a $5. It says on there, Federal Reserve. Oh, it's not gonna focus, but you get the point. It says the United States of America, right? Obviously, it's a government note. There was no dollars until the government spoke them into existence. And what backs up dollars? Nothing. The only thing that backs up dollars is it says this note is a legal tender for all debts, public and private. So in other words, you pay your tax debt with dollars, backed up by the government's legal authority. So all money, all the dollars anybody has is money the government spent into existence first.
Not there.
And by the way, because it demands taxes back, that's what gives it value, because everybody needs to pay taxes
to finance federal spending, but rather their purpose is to generate demand for the currency, get people working for the currency, and to control the money supply. Federal taxes are not there to generate money for the government. Taxes are there to generate demand for the government's money. Taxation is the primary mechanism that gives value to a state fiat currency. Taxation is how you turn litter and digital blips into money. When the government chooses to issue debt in the form of bonds after spending more money into the economy than it deletes out of it, it does so in order to guarantee people risk-free assets that they can store their money in and collect interest on. In other words, the federal government can always make any and all payments in its own currency. Federal government spending is in no case operationally constrained by revenues. Your federal taxes don't actually fund anything. They get deleted. The federal government both spends money into the economy and deletes money out of the economy via keystrokes at the central bank. Let's take a closer look by seeing
what advice do you have for people voting on Prop 50? Vote for it, obviously. What? Obviously you should vote for it. More deep blue seats for us to run crazy leftists in. Duh.
Exactly happens if you pay your taxes by writing a check. When the federal government gets your check and it's deposited and clears, all they do is change the number in your checking account downward as they subtract the amount of your check from your bank balance. See, the government didn't actually get anything back to distribute to someone else or to fund anything. No gold coin dropped into the bucket at the Fed. They just changed the numbers in the bank accounts. Nothing went anywhere. And what happens if you were to theoretically go over to your local IRS office to pay your taxes with actual cash? First, you would hand over your pile of cash to the person on duty as payment. Next, he would count it, give you a receipt, and then after you, the taxpayer, left the room, he'd take that hard-earned cash that you just forked over and throw it in the shredder, or burn it. It gets thrown away, destroyed. But how come? Because there's no further use for it. Just like a ticket to the Super Bowl. After you enter the stadium and hand the attendant a ticket that was worth maybe $1,000 or so, he then tears it up and discards it. Can you now see why it makes absolutely no sense at all to think that the government has to get money by taxing in order to spend? In no case does it actually get anything that it subsequently uses. So if the government doesn't actually get anything when it taxes, then how does it spend? Let's say you get a social security check or a COVID relief payment. How did they pay for it?
Is that tax money that the Fed is spending?
It's not tax money. The banks have accounts with the Fed much the same way that you have an account in a commercial bank. So to lend to a bank, we simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account that they have with the Fed. So it's much more akin, although not exactly the same, but it's much more akin to printing money than it is to borrowing.
That is former Federal Reserve Chairman Bernanke telling you exactly how your money works. And I went on this aside because it's about this conservative hallucination about taxpayer money being used for food stamps. This video seems to completely miss everything about requirements for this depositing into the Treasury. You're going to have to go on and explain what you're talking about.
And saying these genuinely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't subtle racism. What do you guys think welfare queens was? That's what this is. That's why they're black women for the most part. That's why there's all these mentions about having 7 children with 7 different baby daddies. That's why they act as though they're getting thousands of dollars sometimes in SNAP funds from the government. And it's all just made up. SNAP subsidies are not that expensive for the most part. It's just like, it's just additional, it's additional aid, nutritional aid, food assistance. And yes, all of those videos that you guys saw were actually made up. They were AI. Those were all AI videos. The white guy responding to them was some racist dumbass who is a real Republican. And his response was, oh, I work, so I don't need SNAP. Not realizing that there are more white Americans on SNAP than there are black Americans. Okay? It's so dumb. Classic example, though. Classic example of the Lee Atwater conundrum. Look.
Matters. It's made by impossible_ASMR1, who, after 8 failed slot posts and a 3-month break, decided that Sora could finally make their dream content. Videos of black women trying to use EBT in places it's not accepted.
Do taxes work the same way at the local and state level? No, because they're not the issuers of currency. So that's why a lot of the programs that we want to build need to be national programs. That's why Medicare for all is a much better idea than doing state level single payer. Because at state level single payer, they will have to tax directly or borrow directly what they spend out. The state doesn't have the power to do that. So it's much more difficult for the state to fund those kind of programs. And so that's why Medicare for all is the best idea, because it leverages the government's ability to negotiate. It leverages the ability of the government to print money in order to create a program that will actually spend less overall. And that's why you should really push back against the idea that we could do small socialism. Socialism must be big.
True creativity unleashed by AI. The shutdown created an opportunity to have them yell at the camera, but it's not till the whole family's back there that the full racist stereotype is fulfilled. This is rage bait, and we'll get angry commenters who, when they learn it's AI, will say, oh, but it's true anyway, which of course...
Yeah, that's the other thing. Oh, well, it depicts a reality. That's the coward's version of this, where it's like, well, you say it's AI, but like it technically depicts the reality, right?
Of course it's not, and that's cope for being played. They were so played they didn't notice the kid missing half an arm while the other kids are frozen in place for no reason, and these down here are warping together. They were too focused on this fake AI. This is cramming in a script that they used 3 other times for their other fake AI people. I will gladly knock down AI rage bait of all kinds and from anywhere on the spectrum, because it's part of the same problem.
It was my understanding that federal income taxes paid the interest on the debt owed to the Federal Reserve. Am I wrong? Yes. I'm referring to 31 U.S. Code Section 3310, which among other stuff requires government officers to deposit dollars they receive for government purposes directly into the Treasury. The Treasury is just an account that the Federal Reserve manages. But they just add digits at will. They don't have to first tax in order to spend. You just saw that happening with the bailout that's going to Argentina. There was no bill that was passed. There was no taxes collected. They just did it. They just arbitrarily said Argentina now has access to this money, to this facility.
Casually letting our feed slip into fake parallel AI universes that exist only to divide us. This is that they used 3 other times for their other fake AI people. I will gladly knock down AI rage bait of all kinds.
Yeah, this is the same one. I remember months ago when YouTube was running these ads talking about how the government was giving away benefit cards to migrants being marketed towards black women. This is the next logical step. Yeah, he did it again.
He's such a dumb little bully. It's fucking... Donald Trump, I don't know if you saw that, chat, but he put the candy on top of the head of the child's full costume.
What? That's...
Donald Trump doing the Halloween party at the White House where he bullies children in minion costumes with his wife. That's peak America. That is fundamentally peak America.
Oh, God. It's just so stupid. He's such a dickhead. Trump around children sometimes brings up the funniest moments. Remember when he was like, you still believe in Santa Claus? Come on. At age 7, you gotta, it's give or take, right?
Yes, I did see that. We're going to talk about that in a second, Professor.
At age 7, it's marginal, right?
Just ask in the Discord, Astral.
Screaming at the kid mowing the lawn. Oh, yeah, that too. Trump would be the funniest if he wasn't a fascist leading the country. I think he still would be the funniest if he was a fascist leading the country in a TV show.
To read.
And didn't actually have the power of leading the country.
I just realized something, chat. Today is the 31st. Today is the 31st. That means it is Halloween. That also means happy Halloween to all of you. It's also the last day of the month. And the way my pay works is 15-day monthly invoices. which means money that you pay me right now goes into my pocket in 15 days. Money that you pay me on Monday will take 45 days to get to me. So if you enjoy the content, there is no better time to support a stream than right fucking now. Please consider supporting the stream by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach that to your Twitch account. You get 1 free sub a month. That is your Twitch Prime sub. You can also support the stream by gifting bits or direct donations. Exclamation point, donate. Chat, I don't run any ads on this stream. No ads whatsoever. But in order for the stream to exist, I need you to support the stream by subscribing. The single best way to support the stream is to subscribe at the highest tier you could afford for the longest period you could afford. Tier 3 for 6 months at a time. I was expecting to see you dressed in your Halloween garb, but this explains it. You didn't even know. Are you a Halloween guy? Of course I knew. Of course I know it's Halloween. Am I a Halloween guy? I don't really want to explain how I am a whatever my friends want to do guy. Personally, I just like reading my books and listening to my things, and you know, it is what it is. I enjoy it. Right now I have my pirate costume. Oh yeah, that reminds me, chat. A chatter gave me this at TwitchCon and I haven't opened it yet. Let me get scissors. Hopefully this isn't mean or bad. It's a tapestry. Did you see it? Here, let me go to Big Mike. Wow, look at the tapestry. It's DSA dance. I may just have to hang this up right behind me, chat. Solio, you didn't tell me who made this. Ari made it? Wow. VIP status. So this may be the tapestry. I have to just, all right, I don't want to break. All righty. The craftsmanship. Although this shirt is a little tight. Unfollowing because of the shorts? Sorry, chat. These are my it's laundry day, okay? Etymology nerd on Halloween costumes. Are you saying you're the opposite of a pirate? No.
Dress up as the person you already are. So you have to dress up as an upside down inversion of your true self, which circularly ends up signaling something about your actual identity. Like, it doesn't make any sense for a kid to dress up as a kid, so many kids often dress up as adults, and then they get to go around making demands of adults in the way that we usually do of them. It is fundamentally a role reversal, but it actually upholds the norm because we collectively know this is not real. The costume only works because the children are not in fact adults. That's also why we wear evil costumes or scary costumes when we usually try to present as good or non-threatening people. Halloween is the one time of the year when everything is flipped on its face and you get to embody the opposite of the typical social dynamic. And yet, we paradoxically end up reinforcing our cultural norms of what is supposed to be moral in society by presenting that which is bad. This gets especially interesting when you think about the sexy Halloween costume, which is only okay to wear because everybody understands this is not your true self, this is a performance. But now we're ironically cementing the idea that this is not normal, and we end up legitimizing traditional gender presentation in society. At the same time, there is something real in the reversal. The child wants to be an adult, so the person in the witch costume wants to be a little bit evil, and the person dressing up as a Playboy bunny wants to be a little bit sexy. So we end up making a trade-off where we cathartically lean into exhibition,ism and escapism in exchange for recognizing our actual roles in society.
I think that's a little bit too conclusory for me. This is a rare etymology nerd miss for me, because I feel like we're also auditioning. We're also auditioning a little bit. We're also practicing a little bit. We're giving ourselves just enough distance, because I didn't become the firefighter, but maybe I did a Halloween costume. Maybe I auditioned the idea and I didn't like it, you know? And honestly, plenty of relationships started with a sexy costume, you know? Like, I don't know. It might be a little bit conclusory.
They're saying his name wrong because they're racist. How do I know that? Zohran Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, they're saying his name wrong because they're racist. How do I know that? Well, when it comes to other foreign names, and even other Arabic names, somehow right-wingers may think about Vivek or Buttigieg or other foreign names that they have no issue pronouncing. Buttigieg is even also an Arabic name, but because he's a white guy, they say it correctly. Now, the reason they mispronounce Zohran's name does have a legitimate origin in linguistics. When we encounter a word that we're not familiar with, which includes letter combinations that are difficult or we haven't pronounced before, we have a tendency to change them, flip the letters around, and linguists call this metathesis. You often see children do it when they say things like remember, or mazagine, or peschetti, etc. Sometimes these changes even become word changes. For example, in English, the reason we say the word ask is because it originally was axe, and axe is harder to say. So slowly the metathesis became formal. Even in Persian we have this. So for example, the word for flask, but it does not affect names permanently, because we have this idea that when it's a name, we should respect the person whose name it is and to say it correctly and not change their name without their consent. Now, I'm not saying anyone who says his name incorrectly the first time, second, and third time is racist. Totally natural to foreign names. But when people like Cuomo, Eric Adams, and even Sliwa say Zohran time again, when I'm sure they've been corrected, when point to just read his name out.
Honestly, I'm now like doubting myself. I'm like, am I saying it wrong? Am I like, they're making me say it wrong now.
Phonetically, when they're doing this over and over again, they're saying you are foreign. You are not one of us. You are not worthy of. We could say, if it was broadly equally applied, that there is equalness to it. So if every foreign name was mispronounced in America, we could say, all right, it's all in the same bucket. But why is it, again, when a white guy like Pete Buttigieg has an Arabic last name, Buttigieg, everyone says it correctly? How come they say Zach Galifianakis? We say all the foreign names correctly, except when it's someone they don't, when it's someone who's America, except when it's someone who threatens them and they want to otherize them subtly. So they say,
I don't think it's about being new to America. If he was up there saying, we need to cut taxes on the rich, guys, what we need to do is, it's a new idea. The new idea is called trickle down. You know, you do a little, you cut the taxes. They'd be like, oh my God. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mamdani, this way.
Zohran. And it's a genius move because it's so subtle. But we all know what they're doing. So whether or not you agree with Zohran's policy, his name right, as he mentioned, and not be so racist, include people and make them feel dignified by saying their name.
He's got a point. He's got a real point. We're trying to say the name correctly.
Country. That's why I always said, like, the best possible thing we could have done is put.
Okay, before we get back to the MAGA TikToks, now that this has been published in the New Washington Post, Trump urges Republicans to eliminate filibuster as shutdown drags on. President Donald Trump has called on Republicans to abolish the filibuster to bypass Democratic Party opposition and end the government shutdown that has stretched to a full month, making it one of the longest ever. It's now time for Republicans to play their Trump card and go for what is called the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now, Trump wrote late Thursday in a post on Truth Social. Republicans and Democrats have traded blame for the federal government shutdown, which began October 1st. Senate Democrats have refused to vote on government funding unless Republicans agree to extend Affordable Health Care Act insurance subsidies that are due to expire at the end of the year, while Republicans have demanded separate talks after the shutdown ends. Under the rules for the 100-seat Senate, 60 votes are needed to advance most legislation, but with most controversial legislation passing on party lines, securing enough votes can be challenging. Republicans have 53 seats and Democrats 45, with 2 independents caucus with the Democrats. To this point, Senate Republicans have not indicated significant willingness to end the filibuster. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said, "The rule is something that makes the Senate and gives the minority a say in what happens in this country." Ryan Rass, a spokesman for Thune, said in the statement Friday that the senator's position on the importance of legislative filibuster is unchanged. Mike Johnson, House Speaker, described Trump's proposal as an expression of the president's anger at the situation. While acknowledging that the issue is one for the Senate and not the House, Johnson stressed that the filibuster has traditionally been viewed as a very important safeguard. If the shoe were on the other foot, I don't think our team would like it. So in other words, like, Mike Johnson is pretty much saying exactly what we all know, which is if it wasn't for the filibuster, there's be a lot more progressive change in this country. Senators can vote to change the body's rules with a simple majority instead of 60 votes, a move known as the nuclear option. By the way, it's not the nuclear option. All that happens, I'll explain to you what happens, chat. Somebody says, I move for cloture. Cloture is the end of debate. In the Senate rules, there is no end to debate. Okay. The Speaker, or the President of the Senate, will say, I recognize the objection, but according to precedent, it requires a vote in order to end the filibuster. And then they do the yays and nays, and then 53 people vote to end the filibuster, 47 vote no. The President of the Senate will say, sometimes the Vice President, sometimes not. They will say, nope, I rule that 60 votes not having occurred, the debate is not closed. Then what happens is the person goes, I object to the ruling of the chair. It should be 51 votes in order to end debate. And then and I appeal to the floor is what the person will say. And then the president of the Senate says, we have a motion for interpretation of the rules or something like that. I can't even remember the exact terminology. It doesn't matter. And then they have a vote. And if 51 senators vote to overturn the chair, the filibuster is now gone. And you can end debate with a vote of the majority at any time. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the nuclear option. That's all it takes. 5 fucking minutes and a bare majority of senators. And it's not even something that like requires like any, it's probably one of the easiest things to change in the entire government. Legitimately. Such a move would probably be needed to eliminate the filibuster. In September, Republicans used the nuclear option to confirm multiple people at once and amid a backlog of 150 Trump nominations awaiting Senate confirmation. Trump criticized the filibuster in his first term as well. In 2017, he unsuccessfully called for the use of the nuclear option to end it. President Joe Biden also called for the suspension of the filibuster to allow Democrats to pass federal legislation on abortion and voting rights. Hundreds of thousands of government workers have been furloughed. So you see how this, chat? Now it's a both sides. Now it's both sides. So we upheld the filibuster, didn't pass any legislation, and now the Republicans are threatening to overturn it. It's both sides anyway, even though the Democrats successfully fucked us by keeping it. As U.S. ramps up the pressure, Venezuela pleads with Moscow, Beijing for help. How the fuck did he wait this long? I mean, first of all, Moscow needs all their weapons for their war in Ukraine, so they probably don't have anything really good to spare. Beijing is trying to avoid getting fucking isolated by the U.S., so they're probably like, they would say that it would be man, I mean, personally, if the Soviet Union were around, they would be giving them weapons. I mean, so we miss you. We miss you. What the fuck is this? U.S. GOP rep Carlos Jimenez says amid reports that the U.S. have decided to strike Venezuela that, quote, Venezuela will be free.
Jimenez. Here in Washington, my focus is delivering results for South Florida. As chairman of the Transportation and Maritime Security Subcommittee, we've delivered millions for our local infrastructure and raised awareness about Chinese infrastructure in Florida's ports. But that's not all. We remain committed to putting Florida families first, securing millions in housing improvements. Call my office or visit my website to learn more about what we've done to deliver for you. It's Congressman Carlos Jimenez. Here in Washington, my focus is delivering.
Did I see Taylor's new video? Oh, new Taylor video? We can finally destroy Citizens United? Oh, no. We're fantasizing again, chat. We're fantasizing again.
Trump in prison, but then make him think he's actually running, like put him in a White House with cameras all over and make him think he's actually running the show and just film it. It would have been content gold. It would have basically solved a lot of problems. Yeah, unplug the controller. Exactly. When your little bro wants to play, you just unplug his controller, okay? And you let him sit there and tweak on the dials. Yeah, the Trumpman show. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, but here's the AI stuff. Like, is there? There's, I assume, more as well. This guy goes into more. It's like so obviously written. It's so obviously written by.
Holy shit! We have a fucking founder badge out from left field, resubbing. Damn.
By a conservative, like it's not my fault. It's the government taxpayers' responsibility.
Where's my founder badge? Oh, I don't know.
Ugh.
You know, one of the things that I want to say about this in general is it's just like
they want to.
Every time we have like this old shit, we have this old ass. But is it actually a government's job to make? It's actually a government's job to make sure its people are fed. But that's not what they're saying. Basically, what they're saying is that you have ourselves a situation where Americans believe that. But what they believe is the government doesn't support them. Sorry, I got a little bit flustered there for a second. Basically, the government doesn't support. They believe that. They believe that the government has a responsibility to feed people. But they believe that the government is fucking them and not living up to that responsibility, which is why they're struggling. But there are people who are able to get government services because of stuff that they can never prove, right? Or because of their race. They believe these right-wing folktales.
7 daddies. Who's supposed to feed them? I just got the alert from my EBT app. November, no benefits. I got 7 kids. 7. What they me to do? We can't even buy cereal. No.
I'm not sure if they're taking videos from real people and using their face to make AI, but that shit looks...
Shout out to that last creator. Go follow her because she put that together, that montage. It's the same video. It's AI. It's the same script. It's you type in angry black.
What the fuck is this? Nick from PA? What the fuck is this? This motherfucker. This motherfucker has... Is he MAGA?
On a scale from 1 to 10, my friend.
So he's like an anti-cop guy. He's like an anti-cop guy. Okay, he's one of these guys.
It was a minority said this is wrong. We don't want to do this anymore. This is hot garbage. And you know, newsflash, it wasn't a bunch of older people. It was the young, right? I think the average age of the founder was about 44 years old. I consider that young still. Some of them were as young as 19. You know, but they saw what needed to be done. They saw the injustices. They saw the oppression. And they said, this does not align with our belief system. This doesn't align with our teachings.
He's calling for a revolution, but probably some sort of like conservative sovereign shit.
They're too mad to write a good script. I mean, other choice words would be, oh, I love buying alcohol with my EBT and defrauding white taxpayers. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of like, what are the other things that like Republicans fantasize about that like black people do in their minds as they are taking advantage of the social safety nets that exist. Yeah, I love buying soda and getting fat. Meanwhile, the guy who's like on the other side is just as fat, but just angry. I love buying cigarettes. I have a Mercedes-Benz vehicle that I put all of my EBT purchase groceries into. That's another one. That's another common one. Yeah. Welfare queens, you mean? Yes, that is the trope. That is the racialized trope. And it's a perfect example of how white people who also rely on these programs unironically advocate against them because they think black people are taking advantage of it. That's how you get poor white people to advocate against their best interest, by making them fantasize about black people somehow also taking advantage of the very same programs that they...
No. It's not. No, that's not right. Hassan is not quite right. It's not about them fantasizing about black people also taking advantage of the same programs. It's about them fantasizing that black people have access to programs that they don't. That's what they believe. They believe in the reverse racism myth that there's some sort of like programs that black people can get, but I can't get. That's what they think. But it's a program they get, they fucking love it.
They are literally using. Yeah, why are our tax dollars subsidizing lobster for SNAP recipients? Why do you get to have a say, man? Why do you think you get to have a say?
First of all, what is this? 1980? Like, is lobster tail? Like, are we like, what the fuck are we doing here? Beef is like more expensive than that now. Like, what are we doing here? If people are spending that money on food and eating that food, I don't give a shit. Fuck you. And the reason why that is SNAP eligible is it's for the grocery stores, because they don't want to have such a complicated inventory system where they're constantly like denying, oh, you're not allowed to buy that. Oh, you're not allowed to buy that. Like, trying to hyper control what people are fed is fucking weird.
I don't understand it. There's this one as well. This is from the same lady who first posted the AI. This lady might be a bot herself, actually, now that I think about it. America spends $7.8 billion monthly on SNAP. If illegals were removed from SNAP, the cost would reduce 70%. If all benefits were cut off, they would leave. 45% of all Afghanis living in America receive free food from you. Is this your American dream? Because it sure isn't mine. Food stamps by ethnicity.
I don't think this is real. I don't think this is real. Like, I think the chart is just made up. It's just like made up numbers. 89.4% of SNAP recipients were U.S. born citizens. 11% of SNAP recipients are foreign born. Of the latter figure, 6.2% were naturalized, 1.1% were refugees, and 3.3% were other non-citizens, including lawful permanent residents and other eligible non-citizens. Usually those that have citizen kids, by the way, because when you become a lawful permanent resident, you oftentimes have a sponsor, and the sponsor has to reimburse if you go on assistance. I don't even think these are correct. Like, I don't think the numbers are real. Like, they have, for example, white 8.6%. Okay. 30-some% of the people on, what percentage of people are on SNAP? What, 12.3% of the population is on it? Italians have a lower rate than white people? That ain't true. That ain't fucking true. The personal finance wizards just sell finance courses? Who the fuck is this? Ethnically American, there's no such thing. That just means you're such a hillbilly and your family were so inbred for so long they don't know how, they forgot what country they came from. That's all that somebody who calls themselves ethnically American who's white, that's what that means. It means they were so fucking hillbilly that they don't even know, they forgot where their people came from. Yeah, the thing about these stats is, like, for example, Afghan. These are people that were just brought to this country, former like translators for the US military. They're refugees. There's probably like 100,000 households at the most. They were just actively rescued from a war zone. Same thing with Iraqis. Same thing with Somalis. These people have barely had the opportunity to be in the United States for any period of time as refugees who came here with nothing. Giving them $200 a month to eat is not that much to ask. And it's a very weird and fucking stupid way to split things up. Pacific Islander? So basically everybody that's under this line has a lower rate than the average American. So black people, for example, have a lower rate of being on SNAP than the average American does. This means fucking nothing. It's absolutely idiotic. Oh, I'm not looking at him trying to explain this dumbass shit. This is so fucking stupid. I think one of this is like, it's such brokey energy to be mad someone's getting $200 a month to eat. Like, how broke are you that you're getting mad that other people are getting $200 a month to eat? Like, that's crazy. And they spend it at the grocery store to get food. Like, who gives it? How in the hell could you ever be mad about that? The other thing is, it's actually really good for the economy. This is something that's very well studied. Food stamps, this is the AI, let's go to the USDA Gov. Basically, it has been proven that not only does this make people's lives better and healthier and it's good in every way, it actually causes the economy to grow much faster. The money spent on SNAP causes the economy to grow much faster than it otherwise would have without it being there. Let me see if we can find multiplier. Okay. The rise in SNAP participation and benefit sizes during an economic downturn result in greater SNAP spending, which in turn stimulates the economy. During a recession, some households that lose part or all of their income become eligible and participate in SNAP. For households that were already participating before a recession, SNAP benefits increase if their income falls. SNAP benefits support households' food spending and non-food spending by freeing up money that households would otherwise need to spend on food. This in turn augments the income and spending of producers, processors, distributors, retailers, and their employees. Thus, SNAP benefits start a multiplier process that supports macroeconomic spending and production. SNAP participation and benefits automatically expand when the economy weakens and contract when it strengthens. So in other words, SNAP benefits provide what's known as a stabilizer program, which means it's an automatic program that starts stimulating the economy when it starts to go bad. ERS research has estimated a multiplier of SNAP benefits on the U.S. gross domestic product of 1.54 during a slowing economy. This means an increase in $1 billion in SNAP benefits increases the GDP by $1.54 billion. Additionally, the same increase supports 13,560 additional jobs. From 2009 to 2014, SNAP benefit outlays increased rural industry output and urban output by 1.25% and 0.53% respectively. Outlays also increased rural and urban employment and household incomes with relatively larger increases for rural areas. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say here is cutting this as the economy gets worse is going to make the recession worse. Fuck me. Why is the US always at war by our changing climate? Okay, this looks pretty good. We might have to change to this. All in all, it's like every movie they make is the opposite of what we need. Every move they make, you mean? Yeah, every move they make is the opposite of what we should be doing.
In shambles, fleeing from the capital of Philadelphia with the British hard on their heels, the American Continental Army found itself in Valley Forge in the dead of winter. It was December 1777, and as snow and frost crept in, George Washington's soldiers needed warm shelter to survive what will become a 6-month encampment. So they took their axes to the surrounding white oaks and laid the landscape bare. To construct their makeshift military base, the Continental Army cut down an estimated 127,000 trees for firewood and building materials. Valley Forge, one of the foundational stories of the American Revolutionary War, was not just a turning point in the war, but an exemplar of just how destructive military conquest is on the land. War is hell, not just for people, but for the planet. In a vicious cycle, the dual destruction of the environment and humanity feed off each other, creating unlivable scenes of apocalypse. Valley Forge is just a minuscule blip in the storied history of military destruction. The damages of war are well documented, and as time marches forward, that destruction has exponentially increased. And in the end, we all lose.
Oh my God. I gotta pause this for a second, chat. I gotta pause this for a second. Mitch McConnell just quote tweeted the Heritage Foundation president.
I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so, with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington. The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support, and we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation. The venomous coalition attacking him are sowing division. Their attempt to cancel him will fail. Most importantly, the American people expect us to be focusing on our political adversaries on the left, not attacking our friends on the right. I disagree with, and even abhor, things that Nick Fuentes says. But canceling him is not the answer either.
These people want you to feel like associating with Hassan is some sort of like bad thing. Nick Fuentes is a Holocaust-denying Nazi. The era of trying to go after people because of their associations is rapidly coming to a close because it's what side of the battle lines are you on? They said, don't punch right, LMAO. That's right.
When we disagree with a person's thoughts and opinions, we challenge those ideas in debate. And we have seen success in this approach as we continue to dismantle the vile ideas of the left. As my friend Vice President Vance said last night, what I am not okay with is any country coming before the interest of American citizens, and it is important for all of us, assuming we are American citizens, to put the interest of our own country first. That's where our allegiance lies, and that's where it will stay.
Remember when people were citing the Heritage Foundation against, like, I was doing debates with people 5 years ago on this platform, 5, 6, and there were people going, I'm a leftist. Here's the Heritage Foundation study. His name is Sock Done Left is the guy's name. Unfortunately, that debate no longer exists. It was taken down off the internet, which is a bummer. I wish I had it because it's so funny. Mitch McConnell quote tweeted this and said, "The intellectual backbone of the conservative movement is only as strong as the values it defends. Last I checked, conservatives should feel no obligation to carry water for anti-Semites and apologists for America-hating autocrats. Maybe I just don't know what time it is." Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Israel is done. You and Hassan really spurred a media literacy revolution and they hate yous for it? Oh yeah, they do. Say yins. You can say yins. Or you can just say you, because you is also plural. You don't have to put an S on you. You is a plural. Yins is real? What? Of course it is. These motherfuckers are trying to tell me this ain't real.
Did I mention people from Pittsburgh had an accent?
Like if I was explaining to Yins like what I do on Sundays, what my dad does. So you like 7:45, he wakes up, he goes down to church, St. John Chrysostom. Then he comes home, he puts on his black and gold, heads on down to Heinz Field, meets up with my cousin Natalie Carapinas. They hang out there, have a couple kielbasa's, have a couple irons. Then, if the Stillers win, they head down Southside. You go have a couple Permani brothers, have a few more irons to celebrate with his buddies. Then at the end of the night, he's got to go down Milkshake Factory, get some dessert and that. So everything's all good.
Wow.
Right? That was English.
Obviously, you've been here a long time. You certainly seem really dialed into the community. Is there anything here that you've always wanted to partake in?
Pennsylvania has a lot of accents and languages in it because there's 13 million people there. America is a very big country. Anyway, getting back to this, the Heritage Foundation is declaring I told you Tucker Carlson is going to be their nominee. Like I don't know about this part, but I definitely think this. That's what I see is the best way to, like, the last remnants of the Republican establishment is the Israel lobby. And it's completely disconnected from the grassroots. But they kissed Trump's ass and they gave Trump a lot of bribes. So they have Trump in their pocket. But if you want to distance yourself from and be an anti-establishment person, it's very likely that being anti-Israel is the way to do it. All right, let's get back to the videos that I have been not watching. I have so many tabs. I have too many tabs.
Our empathy, it kills our kin, it kills our planet. And yet nations continue to load bullets into their guns and pull the trigger. Warmongering has become a political constant, and for that, we have the ruling class to blame. Today, we'll trudge through the trenches of war, uncovering the forces behind an economy that is based on perpetual war that crushes the global working class and the planet under its combat boots. We'll travel from the jungles of Vietnam to the cornfields of Iowa, uncover the fiscal recklessness of the Pentagon, and unpack the hidden truths this man exposed. This is the story of endless wars and endless destruction. This is the story of a capitalist ruling class unleashed. This video is made possible by my amazing viewers who support me on Patreon. Over the last few years, my revenue from ads and sponsorship has dropped dramatically. So much so that if this trend continues, making videos like these will become less and less financially viable. So I have a quick ask as the year draws to a close. Our Changing Climate will always be free for everyone regardless of how much I make. But OCC is a one-person operation, and it would be nice to earn enough to pay for rent and my health insurance, which get more expensive every year. So if you've been a long-time viewer or just stumbled across the channel, thank you so much for watching, and please consider supporting Our Changing Climate on Patreon with the link in the description. Literally just $1 a month from a small portion of my audience would be huge for the channel, and to be honest, me.
So true.
In the twilight hours of his tenure in the White House, Dwight D. Eisenhower was surprisingly candid. Free from the shackles of his presidential duties, Eisenhower laid bare his thoughts on a growing threat to the US and the world in his farewell address.
Who do I think is AOC versus Tucker? I'm sorry, chat, but Tucker is a little weenie. Tucker Carlson is a little fucking weenie that every normal human being will look at and be like, ew. The only person that Tucker Carlson could beat is Pete Buttigieg, who is even more of a weenie and even more of a robot.
Been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
This is straight from the horse's mouth. Eisenhower was not only one of the most decorated generals in US history, but also the sitting president. He warned that the confluence of the military establishment and the arms industry was a grave threat to the possibility of peace. Unfortunately, those words were all too prescient. Since 1961, military spending has ballooned, and so too have the pocketbooks of war profiteers. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. To understand our present, we have to understand our past, because the history of the United States is a history of perpetual war. Since its founding, the settler colonial nation has been embroiled in armed conflict. From the settler colonial wars and genocides that decimated indigenous populations across Turtle Island, to the imperialist conquests in the Philippines, to World War I and II, and now the long list of regime change wars and proxy conflicts masquerading as anti-communist or anti-terror.
Look at Hassan's stream. Oh no.
You're cosplaying Superman mid transition? Superman, but he got called back to work overtime. My feeling got hurt when you were cooking Deja. I go there anyway. You guys need it, baby? I know.
That is the shittiest Superman costume I've ever seen. It doesn't even have its own tights. This is like, did he get it off the bargain bin rack? Like, this isn't even a good costume. I just show you my costume, chat. Hold on. I have to rip it. I packed it up and it's all over the fuck. Where did I put it? I at least have like multiple different levels and layers.
Ain't no way! Who's that? Who is that? Wait a minute. He was Superman the whole time. I can't rip the mustache off. I did not want to shave the mustache. And I will have to still wear the glasses. So it's going to be somewhere in between. Brother, that was a slow ass change. Those kids in Jarhampur are fucking dead. I know. Well, it's fine. I wasn't going to go there anyway. I was going to send Hawk Girl there.
Okay. What's this?
Today on stream that you mentioned him and you'll get him arrested, and now you're mentioning him again? Yeah. If I'm going... Mike was panicking today on stream that you mentioned him and you'll get him arrested, and now you're mentioning him again? Yeah. If I'm going to prison, that motherfucker's going to prison too, okay? Sorry. Sucks to suck. Sucks to suck, Michael.
I just got a Twitch commercial break. Ad Central Committee. Wait, what? I don't see no ads. All right, hold on. Let me update the sub count. It's broken. I don't see no fucking ads. Ads managers. No ads scheduled. None. What the fuck ass shit is this? All right, chat, listen. I want to keep watching that video about America going into wars, but it's super late. And I want to tell you guys about events that we're having on the Discord. Tonight, we are watching the film at 6 p.m. We get together, Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we are watching Tucker and Dale versus Evil for Halloween. This is our Halloween film. Okay, apparently we can't get links to open. There we go. Wait, a Red Band trailer? Are you fucking crazy? Are you fucking crazy?
Oh, jeez. Whoa, Jesus.
Did you see the way those guys looked at us?
Who wants to go skinny dipping?
No.
We got your friend!
They captured Allison!
Oh, it's some pancakes. You hate pancakes. I'm gonna make you something else.
What am I doing here?
Fell into the water. Dove in and rescued you. We'll go find your friends. You should relax. Tucker and Dale are on the case.
What is this place?
It's just a cabin. It doesn't mean they're psycho killers.
Then why don't you go in there and talk to them?
All right. Maybe I will. I said maybe.
Dale, what are you doing?
I'm taking a crapper hole.
You mind if I help?
He's making her dig her own grave. There's no rules out here. It's us against them. No! Oh, good. Look, your friends are here. You okay? Run for your lives!
Saw your friend up there. He must be allergic to bees or something because he was running like a bat out of hell. This is a suicide pact. These kids are coming out here and they're killing themselves all over the woods.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense. The girl that we have, she can maybe...
All right, chat. Tucker and Dale versus Evil for Halloween.
Explain the whole thing. You've got another one inside. Yeah, she's in my bedroom. Heads up. Oh, you gotta take the safety off on the side there. Don't do Start being more careful. Time to die, freak. Fire! Stop, double roll. No, don't use that.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil, chat.
Let's get you down from
It's a
there.
classic.
Wait. Sorry about that.
This vacation sucks.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So if you are looking for something to watch while you're waiting for the kiddies to ring the doorbell, you can come hang out in our Discord. Here's the link, chat. ! Discord. 10,000 lefties. All right. What else do we have? I was gonna show you some of my costume, but it's so good. I don't think that I can. I got my friends to watch it without telling them what it was about. Best way to watch it. So true. It really is. I'm sorry it was all spoiler shit. Alrighty. Zohran was dancing the La Bamba? What was he dancing? Oh my God, this is a Vio song! This is Vio's closing song! Oh my God! Vio! Suavemente! Bro.
I mean, I always say to Pumps, I'm like, we cannot lose our democracy to these fucking dorks.
Dorks.
I mean, Stephen Miller is the worst.
The worst.
Absolute fucking worst human being on the planet. And then you get to JD Vance, who is a failed drag queen. You know, he is a failed drag queen. He wanted to be a drag queen. He couldn't do it. He wasn't fabulous enough. He goes off to Peter Thiel's gay boot camp in Silicon Valley, and he comes out like a sociopathic, queer-eyed freak show. You know, he'd be so much cooler if he'd just come out. And, you know, I have this whole theory, Tommy, that in the MAGA movement, there's a group of DL demon queens. And I think that a lot of them are mad that they can't come out and feel pride. And so they browbeat everybody all day long. And then they get on Grindr at night and then they go do gay stuff and they wake up. But I think they think, like the Mike Johnson of it all, he's such a nut evangelical. I think he thinks, okay, I can't stop doing gay stuff. But if I make America Christian nationalists, then I'm going to curry favor with God. I grew up in a red state around all these evangelicals, and they think shit like this.
This is honestly what your average wine mom is talking shit. Like, honestly, this is how they're talking shit. Assad commented on me again? Oh, no.
Mike responded to your comment. Okay, calm down. He's going to jail.
What the fuck? I feel like I should be getting more promotion from all the jailing threats. You know, I'm not somebody who tries to force my way in places. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? I feel like I should be getting more promotion rather than just being yelled at by libs for being right. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to send you over to Vio Thank you so much for hanging out. Here's the Discord. Oh, fuck. I remember, we're doing Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Thank you, everybody, for all the support. Stay safe out there. Solidarity forever, of course. And I appreciate all of the support. Have a happy Halloween. Stay safe. Remember, shut the fuck up. Do not talk to the cops. Shut the fuck up. Never consent to any searches. Don't let them inside the house. If you go to a house party and the cops show up, do not let them in. All right, everybody. Stay safe. Never admit. Never resign. All right, everybody. I'll see you later. Solidarity forever. That's how socialism wins. All right, everybody. Have a happy Halloween. Peace.